Hello and welcome. My name is Gavin Pujalowski and welcome to Final Day Live, a live betting watch-along for the final day of the Premier League season. All 10 games kicking off in about 30 minutes' time. All 10 games kicking off at exactly the same time. We're covering all of the goals, all of the drama, and all of the bets. Let me tell you what we're going to do, and let me tell you what we're not going to do. We are going to keep you updated with the latest scores, the goal scorers, the corners, the cards. We're going to give you all the game data and the betting data that you need to keep you updated with the best bets of the games are being played live. What we're not going to do is talk about my team, Sheffield United, and their dismal defeat at Wembley yesterday in the Championship player final. Congratulations, Sunderland. I've set the tone already. My name's Gav. As you know, let me introduce the presenting team with you this afternoon, taking you through all the action. To my right-hand side is Sam, otherwise known as Producer Sam. How are you, buddy?
Good afternoon, Gav. Yeah, really excited for this afternoon. We were live for the Championship final day, and there was so much going on. We had the league winners to be decided. We had playoff place to be decided. We had relegation to be decided. We haven't quite got that with the Premier League today, but we have got a really good battle for Europe, which is what we're really going to focus on this show. So really looking forward to doing that. And I thought it would be a little bit later on we'd be talking about your beloved Sheffield United. But can I just ask a quick question?
No.
Really quick, because it's not part of the running order, right? I know you'd love to be playing Premier League football, but next season you can actually go and win games rather than being smashed 4-0 every week in the Premier League. What do you generally prefer?
Generally prefer the £220 million for the club, but don't prefer the played 38, lost 27 of them kind of thing. I do think the class between the Championship and the Premier League is getting to be too big now, and I think something has to be looked at that.
I must be done with them now.
Yeah, exactly. And on my left is a guy who's got to get prepared for the Premier League because your team bypassed the playoffs, Leeds United, straight up there as champions, and you are Premier League bound and you'll be there next season.
Absolutely. You know, I felt for you yesterday because Leeds suffered the same fate last season, and it's not nice to lose in the playoff final. But good luck next season, Gav.
Thank you very much. It's not nice to lose the way that we lost, all I'm saying. 95 minutes. I mean, it's just awful.
I was going to say, we've got a Leeds fan on the end again there, but
right?
Jack's aged well since the first show, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So how can you get in touch? We are live on LinkedIn. Thank you for watching on LinkedIn. We're also live on YouTube and on X. You can get in touch. Just send your comments on any of these platforms. Also use the hashtag #FinalDayLive. And as you can, we will see shortly, we'll bring the live league table up because that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep you updated with all of the action in every single one of these games. And if you look at the live league table, we're bringing it up on screen right now. You will see a QR code at the top of it. And if you quickly scan that QR code, it will take you to a page. On that page, put in your email address and you will be in the draw to win a £50 Amazon voucher. Details and terms and conditions all apply, of course. As you've already referenced though, Sam, the top of the Premier League has been sorted and has been sorted for a while. We know that it's Liverpool who have won the title. We'll talk about that a little bit. Also, as we've already referenced with the Championship and the gulf between the Championship and the Premier League being quite big, we already know that the three teams who came up have also gone straight down. The breaking news today, of course, is that Southampton have now employed Will Still. He is going to be in charge of the Saints next season in the Championship. But this is all about not just Champions League, but this is all about who can qualify for Europe. Right, this is seemingly relatively simple, but
it's
also quite
quite
complicated at the same time. So the league position. So half of the Premier League could be playing European football next season, right? For the Champions League, it's positions 1 to 4 normally, but this time it's 1 to 5 because we've done so well in Europe. And now we've got Spurs who have qualified for the Champions League because they won the Europa League. So 6 Premier League teams are going to be in Champions League next season. If we can get a graphic up on screen, I'll try my best to explain exactly who can do what in terms of Champions League qualification. There we are. So Liverpool have qualified, Arsenal have qualified, and Spurs have qualified. How gutted are Arsenal fans that Spurs have also qualified?
We'll get onto an Arsenal fan take in a bit, and we'll talk about Arsenal. But yeah.
So this is what's got to happen. Man City qualify with a point. So if they just draw at Fulham, they have qualified. Newcastle qualify if they win at home to Everton, and Chelsea qualify if they win away at Forest. Now, that is the crunch game today, Forest against Chelsea. That is the crunch game, right? Aston Villa, they're just outside the top 5, but they can qualify if they win at Manchester United, and either Man City lose, Newcastle lose or draw, or Chelsea lose or draw. And Forest can qualify if they win at home to Chelsea, because, of course, Chelsea drop points, they pick up nothing. Newcastle lose or draw, or Aston Villa will lose or draw. But actually, it's even more than that, because Aston Villa can still qualify if they get a draw at Manchester United and results go their way. So that is effective, and that is just the Champions League. That is just the Champions League.
Thanks for that.
Thanks very
that
much.
Was super.
I go for a lie down
I
now.
literally had to do about 4 days research to get my head around this. And I'm not even talking about Europa League and Europa League Conference. Of course, Crystal Palace, they're already guaranteed Europa League football because they won the FA Cup. It's been a brilliant season for them, and they could be a bit of a thorn in the side of Liverpool this afternoon. And Europa League Conference, well, we've got Chelsea in that final on Wednesday against Real Betis in Poland. And even if everything is sorted or seemingly sorted today in the Premier League, it could change again if Chelsea claim a Champions League place today, but also win the Europa League Conference, because that could go to someone like Brighton or Brentford.
My word.
It's all to play for.
It is. It is.
So what are we looking at, first of all, in this one? We've got a couple of fan takes. We'll hear from them shortly. But I'll come to you first, Sam, on this. And if someone's going to drop the ball and someone's going to miss out on Champions League, where do you potentially see that happening?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, Gav. Obviously, like you said at the start of the show, we're live and interactive. We're going to be giving all the live odds in play, and also all of you watching out there, you can get your comments in as well. We'll be looking into all of the comments and all the reaction to anything happening. But I've looked at the odds on the top 5 finish. Manchester City are 33-1 on, as they should be, to be in the top 5. Newcastle is 7-1 on. Chelsea at 8-11. Aston Villa 11-10, and Nottingham Forest 7-2. That's for the top 5 finish. I do think the ones that are likely to drop the ball, and it is the key game we're going to be keeping our eye on, is Chelsea. They're obviously playing Forest. That is the key game this afternoon, and I think if anyone's going to drop the ball, it's going to be them.
It's funny you mentioned that, actually, because Chelsea's away form in Europe has been fantastic in the Conference League, but actually in the Premier League it's been absolutely woeful, and they're starting around 21-20 to win away at Forest, and Forest, they've been brilliant, not so brilliant, but could they just be finding a bit of a turning form with a win at West Ham last time out? That is the crunch game. How do you see this one playing out?
I mean, Chelsea have won once in their last 10 away matches in the Premier League. So that is a shocking stat to take to the City ground. And that should be a ground that's absolutely buzzing today. You know, Forest fans, it's difficult for Forest fans because they've been in the top 5 so long this season, and now they find themselves out of Champions League places. But they just need a good performance today, and it might go their way. I think Man City win. They should do. I think Newcastle win, and then you're looking at the remaining place, and it is that game at the City ground is absolutely pivotal to everything today. And they could draw those two and actually scupper each other.
Yeah, I know. That's why you couldn't have written it better. And if you'd have said 9 months ago that Forest at home to Chelsea in the final day of the season would be a battle to get Champions League football.
Some people, Gav, tipped Forest to go down this season.
Yeah, a lot of people. I did. I got a lot of abuse for it. And here we are looking at Forest. We're going to have the fan take from a Forest fan shortly. But actually, let's get a Newcastle perspective, because they are at home to Everton today, and that might not be as big a walk in the park as people think, because since Moyes returned back at Everton, they have been quite difficult to beat. They've actually been a pretty solid side, and they have not been looking over their shoulder, below them, as Everton have normally done in years gone by. They've been flirting with relegation too close for their liking. Not the case since Moyes took over. But let's get the thoughts. Let's get a fan take from a Newcastle perspective from Andy. Let's hear from him.
Hey guys, I'm Andy, Newcastle fan. Looking forward to the last game of the season, with the potential for a bit of Champions League action next season. Who knows? But I'm concerned there's no Joe Linton in there. I'm concerned that potentially no Isak. And I think without those two, I think it might be a bit of a bridge too far for us. But let's see if we can knock a couple past the T-Rex and the Everton goaler. Well, there'll be plenty of the Newcastle fans chanting for the ex-Sunderland man. We'll be all looking forward to next season where we're the Tyne-Wear derby's back on. So well done to the Sunderland lads. And good to see you back up in the big leagues with the big lads. And let's see what tomorrow brings. I'm hopeful that we'll do the job, but following Newcastle, anything's possible.
Yes, I wholeheartedly echo his sentiments about well done to the Sunderland lads. That's going to sting all the way through this afternoon, is it, as a Sheffield United fan? I also like the fact that he referenced Jordan Pickford, Sunderland lad, Sunderland player, as T-Rex arms, which made me chuckle. I can tell that Isak does start for Newcastle today. Pope, Scher, Byrne, Botman, Livramento, Murphy, Bruno Gimenez, Barnes, Tonali, Isak and Gordon, of course. And we know who Anthony Gordon joined Newcastle from. That could be a bit of a mug bet to score against his former side. Someone I really like from an Everton perspective, former Sheffield United player, and I think he's brilliant, is Iliman Ndiaye, who's been amongst the goals as well. You've got a thought on this? Yeah,
I think Newcastle win this one because Everton, it's job done for Everton. David Moyes has come in, as you said. He's done a fantastic job. He's taken them all the way up and away to safety in the Premier League. They're back with a new ground next season. But whatever happens today, they stay 13th. There is nothing at all for Everton to play for other than pride. And that's a little bit of a stretch. They're on the beach, basically. I think Newcastle should find it quite easy today.
Possibly, but I'll tell you this stat before we'll hear from Ben, the Forest fan, about today. I will tell you now that Everton have failed to score in 3 of their last 10 games away from home, and in all 3 they've suffered defeats. The last time Everton scored away from home and lost was all the way back in September when they lost 3-2 at Villa Park. The point being is that if Everton score goals, generally you can't beat them when they're playing on your turf, and Everton have scored in 12 of the last 13 games at Newcastle.
I just don't see what their motivation is today.
The crunch game, of course, is all about Forest at home to Chelsea, and let's get the thoughts of the Forest fan, Ben, on this one.
Well, yeah, it's been an incredible season. I think a real kind of concoction of emotions, surprise, disappointment, ecstasy, joy. We've had it all, and it's weird that disappointment's one of those, because if you'd have said to us at the beginning of the season, we're going to be in the conversation around Champions League on the last day of the season, literally people would have laughed out loud at you. There are people that will be disappointed if we don't qualify for the Champions League, which seems surreal. It's been an incredible season. We've had an identity, a style of football that's not been out and out attacking, but it has been a style that when we've attacked, it's been exciting. And I think we've been hungry for that for a number of years, pre-Steve Cooper even. I think Cooper did an incredible job and had to play a certain style with the players that he had. The addition of Anthony Elanga and Hudson-Odoi has maybe given us the opportunity to play a different style of football that's been just exciting. It's been such an exciting season, and going into the last game, I'm just thankful for the journey this season. Whatever happens, we're going to be playing European football next year, which is remarkable, and it's a great time to be a Forest fan. What a season!
Since Forest got promoted back to the Premier League, they've played 5 times against Chelsea. Not once has the home side won that fixture. So Chelsea don't win at home to Forest, and Forest don't win at home to Chelsea. And yeah, I understand that. I've got Forest here as over 2-1 to win. Chelsea the clear favourites, and evens in some places. Surely evens is too short for a Chelsea side who, you've got half an eye on the Europa League conference on Wednesday. They say they won't, but they will, because that's a big fixture coming up on Wednesday. And also, their away form is terrible.
Yeah, well, in the last 5 years, I mean, to be fair, Chelsea have had a much better record than Forest in these games. But I do see your angle with Forest. The one where I know they won their last game, but my one worry with them is, are they tired legs now? Are they, coming to the end of the season, they've been tried so hard in the season. They were unbelievable towards the start of the season, but now Have they just got those tired legs where this might just be a bit too much? I think Chelsea have actually looked better towards the back end of the season. I'm quite excited about them for next year. I think they'll be bang up there and potentially competing maybe for the title. That might be a bit extreme, but I think they'll be a much better side. But yeah, I think Chelsea, I think they may just win it today, but I think they might. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I think Chelsea will win today. I think Chelsea will get Europe. And I think next year they're going to be a very good side.
This is a bigger match for Chelsea than it is for Forest. Forest, the expectations was low at the start of the season.
That's what I mean.
They're punching above their weight. Everything's gold from here. Chelsea have invested so much money in that squad, and they've done it to try and get Champions League.
Yes.
So the pressure to get Champions League is far bigger on Chelsea than it is on Forest.
Something to bear in mind in this one, by the way, Forest have scored the opening goal in 25 Premier League fixtures this season. That's a joint high with Arsenal and Liverpool. That's something to bear in mind. And whoever get their noses in front in this game could be the winner. Listen, I want to move on very quickly to the Premier League reflection. Before we do, just a very quick chat about Aston Villa at Man United, because Manchester United, that's not going to be a happy place this afternoon. Surely Villa are going to win there. They haven't got a good record, have they, against Man United Villa? But this is a different Man United. This is a different Villa. I'll come to you actually, James, on this one. I'm going to throw a curveball. Throw it to you. Are Villa going to win at Man United?
I think they do, because they haven't got a good record, but they've been playing better Manchester United sides than they're present at the moment. He's dropped Garnacho, he's dropped Onana from the squad, and there's talk about wholesale, fire sale and getting rid of pretty much everybody at Manchester United. He wants them to play a certain way. He hasn't got the players to do that. And it's going to be a very interesting summer, I think, for Manchester United. And the danger is they're bringing a load of players to play his style. He has a bad start to next season. He gets sacked, and then they want somebody else to, different players again. So Manchester United is a club in turmoil. It's easy to spiral downwards, but it's hard to actually reverse that spiral. And I think Villa win today.
It's worrying for Manchester United at the moment. We all know Old Trafford and how amazing it is, and all the memories of Manchester United. But it just all seems to have gone. I'd actually, in some ways, I'd love for it to get back to where it was, but it's going to take a lot. They are going to have this flash sale, and you mentioned Garnacho not being in the squad. I've got a feeling he'll be gone in the summer. I think that's the end of Garnacho at United.
And they're looking for about 60 million for him or something like that, which is maybe a stretch. But yeah, Manchester United, they used to win matches because of their presence and because of their reputation. Nobody's frightened of them anymore.
Manchester United are the only current team in the Premier League that Ollie Watkins has not scored against in the Premier League.
Until today.
Ollie Watkins starts today for Villa. Right, let's have a reflection. Let's look back on the Premier League as a whole. So we'll start with Liverpool because they are the champions, of course. If they win today, they will finish on 86 points. It's the lowest points total for champions in the Premier League since Man City won with 86 in the year 2020-2021, that season. So we don't have to go too far back. Of course, if they don't win today, then they'll finish on 83 points, which could be, I don't know how far back we have to go to find a points tally that low to be the title champions. The weird thing is there could be a double guard of honour today, because I think I think Liverpool will have a guard of honour for Palace for winning the FA Cup, and then Palace will have a guard of honour for Liverpool for winning the Premier League. No team that has given the guard of honour for Liverpool so far this season has then lost to Liverpool. It will be the first time in Premier League history, it is the first time that the title winners of the Premier League have not won their 3 subsequent games. Before we talk about the top end of the Premier League, let's get a fan take from this one, and let's hear about Liverpool's season, and let's hear from ex-Liverpool player Neil Mellor.
I think there's only one word. Champion is brilliant, absolutely sensational. Maybe wasn't expected. Liverpool were expected top 3. New manager, Jurgen Klopp's gone. Slot came in, no problems at all. And the main man, and one of the biggest reasons why Liverpool will be champions, is the best player in the league, Mo Salah. Top goal scorer. Liverpool are top scorers this season. Nobody's got anywhere near them. That has been a huge factor. Most clean sheets as well. But obviously, Alisson and Kelleher have shared that. It's been a real team effort from Liverpool. And when the trophy is presented at Anfield on Sunday, it will be a party atmosphere. Cannot wait to be there. Sensational season from Liverpool.
I also think it's been a sensational season for Crystal Palace. I really do.
You love them.
I do love Crystal Palace. Here's a stat about Crystal Palace before we start talking a little bit about Arsenal. Palace last beat Liverpool at home back in 2014. Right, so 11 seasons or 11 years since Palace last beat Liverpool at Selhurst Park. Since then, they've won 4 times at Anfield, which is a remarkable record. And this is a Palace side who have on a real high. I think that 6-1 that I can get for Crystal Palace is a bit too tempting.
You just love them.
I do,
You
yeah, I
just
think
do.
they
All
can.
season. We've done many shows away from this one, and you have not stopped going on about how much you love Crystal Palace. I feel like if Sheffield United suddenly, got liquidated, you'd end up being a Palace fan. I'm convinced by that.
Palace have set a club record of 52 points in a Premier League season, despite only winning one of their opening 13 fixtures. They have been terrific. Any quick thoughts on Liverpool Palace? Is this a walk in the park for Liverpool for you?
I think it's just a party. I don't think anybody really cares. They don't care how many points they're going to win the league with, honestly. They just want that trophy. One thing to look out for, Mo Salah has got 28 goals and 18 assists so far. He's one short of the Premier League record for goal contributions, behind Shearer and Andy Cole. So if he gets a goal and an assist today, or two of anything, then he goes into the league.
They want to put on a show, won't they, though?
Absolutely.
That's the one thing with the Liverpool.
I wonder about Palace, whether they can pick themselves up again. They did against Wolves, but can they pick themselves up again? Because they've had such a fantastic end to the season.
Let's move on quickly to the thoughts on Arsenal. And before we do, let's actually get the thoughts of the Arsenal fan who's got an opinion. Let's go to the Arsenal fan take and hear what's got to say about Arsenal this season.
Hi guys, James Ross here. Arsenal's season has been full of ups and downs and too many draws for my liking. But my overall feeling is how proud I am of the lack of trophies is always going to be the first talking point. But I believe where we have come as a team is a fantastic achievement still. Second in the league possibly for the third time in a row, reached the semi-finals of the EPL and Champions League. We have really showed that being on the biggest stage is where we belong. I know injuries are a big part of the season for every team this year, except Liverpool. But I believe the key players such as Saka, Havertz, Odegaard and Gabriel, all missing important games at the same kind of time, could really make things difficult. My three players I need to shout out for their quality they've shown this season is Rice. The impact he has on both halves of the pitch is unmatched. Mourinho, for the huge leap he made from midfield to striker to perform the way he has, is honourable. Lewis Skelly, for such a young age, his maturity and skill is fantastic. Earning his debut for England and playing in huge European matches with a smile on his face is brilliant. Let's hope this summer we could purchase some more firepower in this team, because the quality of the team is across the pitch and I believe we are one piece of the puzzle missing to completion. Come on, you Gunners!
That is James, the Arsenal fan, who's delighted with Arsenal, and I think Sam wants to take him to task a little bit about Arteta and Arsenal.
Yeah, I do. I love Arsenal, right? I love the Emirates, I love Rice, I love loads of players you mentioned there. Lewis Skelly, Saka, the lot. Right? I've got no issue with Arsenal Football Club. I have a slight issue with Arteta and these phases that we're going through. What are we going into? The 7th phase now next season of his big plan? And they haven't won anything significant by the FA Cup. I mean, at the start of the season, I think they were in a press conference and Arteta was asked about, his success, and they were saying about, the FA Cup, and then he kept going, we've won the Charity Shield. No one cares if you won the Charity Shield.
I do
I'm
agree
not
with
being
that.
funny.
I know,
Nobody cares, right? And then they've got the Emirates Cup that they win every year back to back. But the thing is, he's got them to a position, right? Fair play to him. He's got them back to, finishing second, qualifying for Europe on a regular basis, where they kind of were, under the Wenger days. But he hasn't got them over that final line as of yet. And I'm trying to wait for him to get there. They're only 6 points better than 7th place. Realistically, I think it's about, $750,000 that they've spent on players. They should be a lot better and they should be winning trophies. I just feel like trying to get him over that final line, I'm not sure he's the man for it. They need a serial winner in there, a proper serial experienced manager. Someone like Conte would actually be ideal. What he's done in Serie A and what he's done in the Premier League already has been unbelievable. But I just didn't like what he said in the press conference the other day. Spurs or Arsenal, who's had a better season? And he said, I don't like comparing teams. Well, for the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's been comparing his team to the Liverpool team and the points tally and stuff like that. Come on. I just don't get Arteta. I'm not sure. I think he's got a bit of arrogance about him. He's going to be under pressure next season.
Got to win something.
If he doesn't win anything next season, I feel like he will go.
In the Aaron Ramsdale derby, they're away at Southampton. Southampton have conceded 41 first-half goals, which is more than any other Premier League side. They've also conceded 43 in the second half, and Southampton have lost 29 league games this season. A 30th defeat will set a new Premier League record. Sheffield United were dubbed one of the worst Premier League sides last season. Southampton are far worse. If you're looking at Arsenal to win first half, second half, 3-4. We're getting close to kick-off, but very quickly, I want to just talk about Spurs, and let's get a fan take from a former Spurs player. This is Paul Robinson.
Listen, domestically, it's been a disappointing season. Obviously, you don't need that pointing out. I mean, 21 defeats and counting with a difficult game to come at the weekend. So the domestic trophies, the league campaign, it's been awful. I mean, there's a lot that can be pointed and accounted for at that. You know, the youngsters having to play in the team, the injuries that Ange Postecoglou's had through the season. I listened to him in his press conference after the Europa League final, and he said in January he targeted this trophy. He knew exactly that this was the trophy that he was going to go for. This is the one that he wanted to win, to the sacrifice of everything else. And he said all his teams that he's picked in the Premier League had this game in mind, whether it was to rest players, preserve players, or a case of what he had left. He was always aiming for this Europa League. And it's the old cliche. You ask a Spurs fan at the start of every season, would you finish 17th and win a trophy? 99.9% of them would say yes. Daniel Levy's got a big decision now with the manager's future. Do you fall into the Erik ten Hag slot of 90 minutes saves him, give him 100 million to spend, and then sack him 4 months later? I think it's a case of let the dust settle, waiting to see how the season pans out. I still wouldn't be surprised if they parted ways at the end of the season. But what Ange Postecoglou's achieved at Tottenham, nobody's managed to do it for over 17 years. And he promised everybody that he'd win a trophy, and he did. And if he goes out with his head held high. If he doesn't, he said in his press conference after the game, he could use this as a springboard, looking to bring players in now. Champions League football attracts players. The budget all of a sudden changes for player recruitment. Players will stay, players will leave. And if he gets given that opportunity, then he'll try and replicate what he did at the start of last season, the first 10 games. He's shown that he can adapt his tactics, because the away game against Eintracht Frankfurt, the away game against Bodo Glimt, and especially the Europa League final, they were awfully rugged, tough to beat. Didn't really enjoy watching them, but got results. They weren't a good watch compared to how they have been open, expansive, getting beat and conceding a lot of goals. Quarter-final, semi-final, final, they were the complete opposite. So he has shown that he's got another side to his tactical ability. So that may play into Daniel Levy's mind as to keep him on. It's going to be a very, very split decision and a split boardroom, but whatever it is, it's been a fantastic season for Tottenham. They've got a trophy and Champions League football.
They are such an anomaly, are Spurs, because they're 17th, yet they've scored 63 goals, which is exactly 30 more than Leicester, who are just below them. And to score 63 goals and yet lose 21 games just does not make sense. And in fact, you will very rarely see a side in the bottom 5, bottom 6, bottom 7 of the Premier League with a positive goal difference of 2.
Mad, isn't
it? The stats, you look at Spurs and the stats don't make sense, and yet they've won a major trophy. First one in Europe for 41 years, first major trophy for 17, and they're saying it's a great season.
He always wins something.
It's about trophies at the end of the day, and they've got one in the cabinet, and Ange Postecoglou was delivered in his second season.
Who actually had a better season, by the way? I mean, that question was asked to Arteta, but who generally... If you were a fan, who would you rather?
Spurs got a trophy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay.
I can agree with that.
Right, let's look at our best bets for this afternoon then. Right, you've got about 30 seconds to tell me what your best bet is. Go on then, Sam, you first.
Yeah, I'll smash through it. It's going to come in the Fulham-Man City game. I mean, the last 5 years, Man City, 10 wins. Fulham, 0 wins, 0 draws. Man City are probably going to win there today, but they do love goals. Since 2020, they've played 9 times. They've averaged 4.1 goals a game in those games together as sides. I do think that the overs on the goals, I'm going to be safe with for our ACCA that we're going to have, over 3.5 goals I'm going to put in there, but I do think the over 4.5 might be a play as well. So, yeah, keep an eye on that. Goals in the City-Fulham game.
What about you, James, quickly?
This might be unexpected, but I fancy Ipswich, the Tractor Boys, to beat West Ham at home. It's around about 21-10, somewhere in that region. I think they're going to have home support. It's going to be a party atmosphere. And West Ham are on the beach. Their season's done. Their best player, Jared Bowen, has been left out of England. He's marrying Danny Dyer, the daughter, not the father. And he's marrying her next weekend. I think they've got their minds elsewhere. I think Ipswich can just say goodbye to the Premier League with a win.
I'm going to have a little bit of fun. No top flight side has conceded more penalties than Wolves this season. They've conceded 9. Brentford have been awarded 6 Premier League penalties this season. Only Liverpool and Bournemouth have won more. Wolves against Brentford. I fancy Brentford to win. They're around 5-4 to do so. The penalty, yes, in the game is 9-4. Right, we are countdown to kick-off then. Do get in touch. Use the hashtag FinalDayLive. Give us your best thoughts, score predictions. Let us know what your best bets are. Whatever your bets are, please do gamble responsibly. Forest out at the City Ground. There's a big banner on the one of the stands that says Destination Europe. It's made into the like a road sign. Banner, so it looks really good, that one. That's going to be the crunch game. We've got eyes on these games. We've got eyes on the data. If you can see on the screen as well, you've got a live league table that will update as the goals go in automatically, so you'll see exactly who is in those Champions League places, who is in the European, the Europa League Conference places. That's still to be sorted post Wednesday, of course, with Chelsea against Real Betis. We're already underway in a lot of these games. I think we yet to kick off at the City Ground and yet at Ipswich, but everywhere else we are live and underway. We'll have some live scores as well, and also got the live stats. You can see on the bottom of your screen, Forest against Chelsea currently up there. You will see that as the shots go in on target, and the corners as well, just to give you an idea as exactly where, if you want to place a bet on a game, you've got the in-game data on screen to direct you to what the best bet is. And that's what we're going to do as well. Throughout the course of the next hour and a half, 2 hours, we're going to put up the best bets relating to the game data, what we're seeing, and also opinions and knowledge that we have. James,
I've got just a little bit of team news. Kevin De Bruyne, it's his last game for City. He starts on the bench. You imagine he's going to come on at some stage to get a rapturous reception. Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's on the bench for Liverpool. The same will apply to him. I think it's absolutely tragic that Liverpool fans are booing him. He's given them an awful lot. As you mentioned, Alexander Isak does start for Newcastle. And Arsenal have made a lot of changes. Saka's on the bench, Havertz on the bench, Trossard and Odegaard all on the bench today for Arsenal. Only away at Southampton. They should still win.
Thank you. Don't forget to scan the QR code as well at the top of the Premier League table, just off to the top of it, and you be in the draw. If you scan that, it'll take you through to a website. If you put in your email address, you're in the draw to win a £50 Amazon voucher. We'll make the draw. Terms and conditions apply, and we'll notify you if you are a winner of the £50 Amazon voucher. Right.
Just quickly, by the way, the Guard of Honours are happening. This is why we've got a bit of a delay to the one kickoff, which is at Anfield. We've got a Guard of Honour here for Palace currently happening, and then I guess we get another Guard of Honour straight after. I'd imagine. I think that's what it's going to be, like a weird relay that they're going to have rotate around.
Rugby. It's like they do that in rugby
they do, and they shake hands and everything. I mean, Just a quick one as well, because this game hasn't quite kicked off yet. We had on the Championship show a first 10-minute bet of what would happen, and I think there will be a goal early on in this game. I think it'll be very open, Palace and Liverpool. A goal in the first 10 minutes is 12-5. Just to let you know, it was in the game that we did, but it was the Burnley game, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I had first 10 minutes really big goal, and there was a goal in the 11th and 12th minute, which was never ideal, but hopefully this time around, goal early in that game.
That is always the danger of playing the when to score market, that you could miss out. It's equally amusing as it is annoying when it happens, when you put a goal up in the first 10, 15 minutes and a goal scored just literally 60 seconds afterwards.
I'm going to be a little bit more conservative about that. Fulham's last 9 matches, none of them have been 0-0 at half-time. City to be ahead by half-time is just over even money. I think that's a decent play.
Could be potentially something happening at Molineux. I'll just grade out at the moment, so just going to keep an eye on what's happening at Molineux. But as it happens at the moment, we're about 4 minutes in. We're slightly delayed at Liverpool.
I think Liverpool will kick off at 5, wasn't it, at the moment?
No, honestly.
Jurgen Klopp, who aged about 10 years in his time at Liverpool, has now kind of reverted back to being a young Jurgen Klopp again. The rest has done him good, hasn't it?
I really do think that actually Palace are going to get something today. I really do. Just football elsewhere. Just going to say congratulations, because we are obviously in the playoffs. I know that as a Sheffield United fan. Yeah.
That's right.
Well done to Charlton, who beat Leyton Orient, all London affairs. So Charlton, of course, they were one of the founding members. I remember them being in the Premier League year after year. Kirbysley, Pardew in charge. It was a tough place to go. I remember they had a player called Fish, the South African player. The Fish, they were They've won today. They're beaten Leyton Orient at Wembley, so Charlton are back in the Championship.
Well, I know we're not here to talk about the Championship, but actually the Championship looks really good next year. I'm looking forward to it. I know you're there. I can come up and watch every but St Mary's and Fratton Park for Pompey, Southampton. Looking forward to that. There are some good games in the Championship next year.
And of course, you are not talking about the big story in football over the course of the last few years. Wrexham.
Yes, of course. Also, yeah, the Hollywood team are up. Yeah.
So, well, the funny thing is, the owners of Sheffield United are now movie directors, and one of them is the guy who's a movie director of the Marvel franchise.
Well, Championship's going to be.
So it literally is Hollywood
superb.
When Sheffield United play Wrexham. Whoever thought that would have been a thing? Still waiting for our first goal. What we're going to do is we're going to dive into some of these games and start to see who started well. I'm going to just look at Aston Villa against Manchester United. I just imagine the atmosphere at Old Trafford, and it will be sold out, but they've cancelled their end of the Players' Awards at the end. I wonder if they're going to just walk off at the end of the game and not have a lap of honour.
Well, this is Manchester United.
This is Manchester United.
Well, they've cancelling everything. They're not spending any money because they haven't got any.
They've even cancelled winning games.
They've
cancelled
everything. This is where we're coming today, because the Champions League, we're talking about who's going to qualify today. It's worth about 70 million. And that is why it's so big for teams like Man City and Newcastle.
It's not just that, though. It's encouraging players as well. That's the main thing.
But that Europa League defeat in midweek to Spurs has cost Manchester United more than just the end of season.
Absolutely,
party.
I will tell you just quickly, looking at Morgan Gibbs-White, who's brilliant for Forest. He's just gone on a run. Forest have started ever so sprightly against Chelsea. Ball into the box, could be behind. Is going to be a corner. Maduiki's put it behind. It's a corner for Forest. Man United have started the better of the two sides against Aston Villa. Of course, Aston Villa to stand any chance of getting in the Champions League. They cannot lose. A point might be good enough if everybody else around them loses. A victory for Aston Villa will be enough if, again, the likes of Newcastle and Chelsea, whoever else, tend to lose. 2 shots at goal, 2 shots on target. It is a very, very, very lively start by Manchester United.
Strong start down at St Mary's as well. No surprise, Arsenal started really strongly with a shot on target. They've had a couple of shots and possession. They are very dominant in the first 5 minutes, but that's no surprise, is it?
Arsenal's highest scorers in the Premier League so far this season are Havertz with 9, Martinelli with 8, and Trossard with 8. The last time the Gunners went through a league season without anyone netting at least 10 goals was back in 1923-1924.
Your stats are sometimes. Do you know what? I have to praise your stats. Sometimes are absolutely superb.
That's the problem, isn't it? I think the problem with here's another stat for you. We spoke about Spurs. Spurs have scored 63 goals this season. They're in 17th. Arsenal scored 67, just 4 goals more, and they're in second. The lack of goals for Arsenal has been a real problem, and yet keeping them out for Southampton has been a real issue. They're going to be one of very few sides that if they lose at home today, Southampton at the end of the season can claim 1 home victory in all of the Premier League, and they won that back in November. They conceded a lot of goals in the first half to Southampton. So are you automatically just looking at Arsenal to win the first half?
Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, a lot of people play this as either like an over 2.5 goals in all the games on the final day, or both teams to score. Wouldn't surprise me if Southampton get a goal. I think they might. They'll end the season on a slight high with a goal down there. So maybe Arsenal to win, both teams to score might be the bet.
Just going to look at. I'm going to come to you for a quick fire bet that we just started, but I'm just going to look at Arsenal to win the first half and see if I can find that. Arsenal to win to 0. I know you don't like that, but Arsenal to win to 0 is yes at 23-20. Let me have a look at first half and unders, possibly. First half, Arsenal to win the first half. Here we go. They're 2-9 to win the game. Arsenal to win the first half, 13-20. We like the bet, not necessarily price. Where are you looking right now?
Newcastle have had a good start. But there's only been 1 shot in the match, but 66% possession in their game, and they're out the traps quickly against Everton. And I've obviously pulled up Ipswich to win, but West Ham have got out the blocks quicker against Ipswich. So that's 73% possession in the first 8 minutes there. So West Ham sniffing the early goal.
I'm going to have to go back to goal.
There is a goal.
There is a. What did I say? What did I say? I really like Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
I really like Crystal Palace. I think they have been absolutely magnificent. We could ask the question about who's been your team of the season. Would it be Forest, and the fact that everyone tips them to go down, but here they are fighting it out for Champions League qualification? For me personally, my team of the season, people would say Bournemouth. They've been fantastic. For me, Crystal Palace.
It's a lovely finish. It's a lovely
yeah.
finish from Sarr. Just a quick one. After this is a bit of redemption from the Championship show that we had. But first 10 minutes,
Yes.
we have a goal.
We have a goal.
We
You
did
bet-
it. See, we were unlucky first time round, but 12-5, a goal in the first 10 minutes has happened.
That match just screams goals for me.
It does. It's going to be so open.
Basically, just all going to go for it.
Well, here's the thing, right? So Liverpool were absolutely firm favourites to win. As I've said, every single team so far this season that's given Liverpool the guard of honour have gone on to get us something from it. It's a through ball, Sarr's through, puts it past Alisson, and it's a composed finish. I really like this Crystal Palace side. Now, the interesting thing is, as Chelsea are under a lot of pressure, by the way, Forest are all over Chelsea, Man United are all over Aston Villa. It might be worth looking at these sides to score first. There's been a real opportunity for Forest. Ball cut back out again for another corner, so it is all Forest at the moment. Crystal Palace are 1-0 up away at Liverpool. They've got a fairly good record at Anfield, having won 4 times there in the last 10 seasons. 12-5 for Palace to win, I can find in places. Is that a bet?
I'd take
Is
that.
that a bet?
I'd
They're
take
1-0 up.
both teams to score first half. I think Liverpool bounce back.
You're not tempted.
No, I think Liverpool bounce back. I think they'll come back into this game. But look, it was a really good finish from Sarr there. I'm glad that I got a goal in the first 10 minutes.
It doesn't end 1-0.
Oh, it definitely
not.
doesn't. This has got goals now. It definitely has. It's going to be an open-looking game. So yeah, I'd look for goals.
I can tell you that Chelsea have got their first corner of the game. I think Neto's had a strike and it's been deflected behind. So Forest against Chelsea, still a better start for Forest. Yeah, they're showing the goal on this screen as well for Crystal Palace. Doesn't affect anything at the top of the table as it stands at the moment. Let's go elsewhere. How have Newcastle started against Everton? I think, a bit like Crystal Palace, I think Everton could be written off by quite a number of people today. I'm not so sure. I think Everton are quite difficult to beat. Stats-wise in this one, it does look like it's a very even start. What would you say on this one?
64% possession to Newcastle. That's not even. And that Toon Army support is going to be right
They're
behind
not playing
the
for
black and
anything.
Possession stats, though, that's Robert. You could just play around at the back for 5 minutes in your possession stats.
Absolutely.
It's what you do with it when you've got it,
It's
isn't it?
key where you have the ball.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If it's in the final third, then happy days. But Everton, for me, they've got nothing to play for today. Yes, it's been brilliant. They've already had all of their glory. They've come out of the relegation area. They've climbed up the table. David Moyes is, tick, tick, tick all the way through. Today doesn't matter. It matters for Newcastle.
You wouldn't often see this, by the way. I've just been looking for all the games, but Manchester United, I know you say they've had a really good start. They've had 4 shots, now 5 shots in the first 10 minutes.
Right.
4 of them on target with 1 big chance. I know you mentioned that earlier. Have United just suddenly returned to where they were just on the last day of the season?
Yeah, but you know what happens?
That's rare to see even 4 shots on target sometimes in a game, but see that in the first 10 minutes, especially from United.
I know.
It's pretty impressive.
It's almost like they've actually kicked into gear. But
Villa don't want this.
But what do Man United have to do right now? What do they have to do right now?
Get a goal.
Get a goal. Because what's going to happen if they don't?
Well, they'll get Villa.
Villa are going to punish them.
Counter,
if you're a fan of a team who's absolutely dominated, you're fearing that, hang on a minute, we should be 1-0 up here. Bet your bottom dollar, ball into box by Forest behind, too much on it, it's a goal kick for Chelsea. Bet your bottom dollar that Man United fans are going, yeah, this is brilliant, but the first chance that Aston Villa will get, they will score.
Another shot, by the way, for United. That's 6 shots in the first 12 minutes.
But they haven't scored.
No, I know.
So-
but the possession stats, United are all over them. I didn't expect this. I genuinely thought this would be a walk in the park for Villa, but at the moment, it looks like the domination's going United's
So
way.
there's 2 ways into this one, because in living memory, I can't remember Man United being around 13-5 to win a game at home to Aston Villa. That's just not right. XG, by the way, is 0 for Aston Villa. It's 0.72 for Man United. Are you backing Man United to win the first half, or do you think that sucker punch is going to come from Aston Villa? It's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to look at where Man United and Spurs are in the table. They are only above the 3 relegated sides. There's nobody else below them. There's no real proof that they can win much.
Man United are 5-2 to win the first half. Villa are 9-5, which tempts you at the moment. Bearing in mind all the stats are telling you that Man United are dominant.
The obvious one's Manchester United, isn't it? After that, but like you say, you know what's going to happen in these circumstances. It just does. Even when I'm watching Portsmouth play, I see us dominating the game, we end up losing 2-0. So it just does happen. What I'm actually surprised about is only 1-0 in one game. I thought there'd be like a party atmosphere on the final day. I thought we'd get goals galore. They'd be flying in everywhere. But, we're almost 15 minutes in, and it's 0-0 everywhere by Anfield.
I think a lot of teams have got the mankinis on. They're on the beach. They're already
You love this phrase, on the beach.
They're sipping the mocktails, and they're already tuned out of the. I'm just looking at the Bournemouth stats against Leicester. Obviously, Leicester already down. Bournemouth have had a poor run of it recently, but they should beat Leicester today. 64% possession for the home side. XG 0.56. They've had the better start there. So if you're looking at a first goal bet, Bournemouth to score first in that one.
I will tell you now that Bournemouth, 13 goals have come from their substitutes so far this season, which is only second to Fulham, who've got 17. So if they're relying on their substitutes, it could be quite tight.
They should start their subs.
I know. Well, there could be a little bit of, I say, recent history for Leicester. What could they do against Bournemouth that they've not been able to do against anyone else?
Score goals.
Do the double.
Yeah, okay.
Leicester won at home to Bournemouth. If they win at Bournemouth, Leicester will do the double. And it's not, if you're Leicester, you haven't done the double over anybody this season. But
there was a stat, I'm just trying to find it here, but with Leicester, I think the games that they've played, let me have a look here, I've got it somewhere. Yeah, they've conceded 2 or more goals in 15 of their 18 games away. Realistically, Bournemouth should go out on a high here.
They've also not been scoring many, and Jamie Vardy's not playing anymore. So
yeah. And do you know what's a mad stat in that game? Is Bournemouth have had 5. They're not necessarily for Bournemouth. There've been 5 red cards in 5 games.
When things happen,
Spurs, by the way,
I'm going to cut across. That's exactly what I'm about to say, because we have got nice little. Go on, press it. There we are.
I have, yeah. It's up in the top corner. There's
got a penalty.
Yeah.
Now, this is. I was going to talk. Man City have started well against Fulham, by the way. It must be one of the longest kind of winning run against a particular side. Man City have won all of their last 17 games against Fulham. 20 years ago, 2005 was the last time Fulham beat Man City at home. 2011 was the last time Fulham got a point or anything against Man City. Since then, played 17, lost 17. They have started well, Man City, who need just a point to qualify for Champions League, and they have started well. Nothing from Fulham. 2 shots at goal by Man City, but nothing on target. Goal for Spurs!
Yeah, it's expected off the penalty kick there, Gav, but goal for Spurs. Do you know what? I really am starting to fall in love with Tottenham. I genuinely am really starting to fall like this. So I think it's more Ange Postecoglou. I love his attitude, and I just love the way he behaves, because he could. It's Dominic Solanke, obviously, who scored the penalty, but I just love the way he could have gone in after that Europa League and gone, there you go, there's your trophy, and I'm leaving. But it seems like after that trophy parade,
I tell you what,
he's there to stay now. If you heard that quote of
the third
season 3, always the best. Season 3 is better than season 2. That was his quote, and that to me says that he's been told that he's staying because he's going to be there next season.
Tell me a TV series where the third season's the best season. I like the quote, but he's not right.
He when he comes out and says, "I always win something in season 2," and he's won something in season 2 with Spurs.
If season 3's better,
you kind of go,
they win the league.
Well, there's a guy who does what he says he's going to do. The interesting thing about Spurs, by the way, is that not only have they been pretty poor in the Premier League so far this season, Spurs have failed to win all 6 home league games following a European fixture this season. Every single time they've played away in Europe and then played at home afterwards, they have lost all 6 games. And don't forget that Brighton still in with a shout of European football. I know it's in the hands of other teams. They could be in the Conference League, but European football is European football. It's amazing that half the Premier League is potentially in Europe, whether it be Champions League, Europa League, or Europa League Conference. I fancied Brighton to win this game, and then I saw the price. They had a live win probability of 49.9. That's what they had.
Yep.
A live win probability of 49.9 for Brighton. Now they're behind. Do we trust Spurs to go in and win? Spurs.
No, I do.
What price have you got for Spurs to win this game?
Oh, I'm going to have a look at it here. But the one thing,
I think this sums up Spurs beautifully.
I'm going to look at that. Well, go on, please tell me.
I can find Spurs at 11-10 to win.
11-10. Well, yeah, well, Brighton.
Brighton.
That's sometimes the way, and you've already mentioned that with Liverpool, haven't you, in the Palace game and the price of Palace. But it's sometimes the way. But I do think Spurs, they could be on a bit of a what's called a hangover from the celebrations over the last few days. But they're there in front of their home fans. Their first game after that final.
They've probably got a hangover, but they've also shed that monkey off the back about being bridesmaids and never going to win anything. They've got that, and that's going to free them up a little bit.
Goal elsewhere. We did say that Wolves have conceded more penalties than anybody else. Brentford have got the third most penalties given for them.
I was about to come to that game, Gav, because Wolves have been all over Brentford, and that's against the run of play.
Yeah, Well, do you know what the reverse fixture was between these two sides?
Well, there's been some big scoring games at Brentford.
Exactly. Yeah. Brentford 5, Wolves 3. Just 8 goals in them. This will be the first chance, by the way, that Brentford could do the double over Wolves since the 2015-26 season in the Championship. I think both these sides have had a fairly good season. I think Wolves have been terrific, as we are greyed out between Southampton and Arsenal. So
I was just going to bring up that game, to be fair. I mean, something maybe happened done, but I was going to bring up that game due to the fact that Arsenal started really well, but I think Southampton have steadied it in terms of getting the possession back, and there haven't been as many shots. But I'd look at the over corners in that game. Currently, it's been 4 corners, 2 each in the Southampton-Arsenal game. I do think there's a potential bet in the over corners market. But yeah, look at that one.
I'm just wondering if it's worth looking at Wolves to get back into this one. Wolves have lost their last 3 games. I think literally they are, as you said, on the beach. I don't like the thought of football players wearing mankinis that you referenced, but I certainly think that Wolves, their home form has been pretty solid. They lost 2-0 at home to Brighton last time out. Brentford have been terrific of late. They really have, although they can throw you a curveball, because who backed him to win at home to Fulham, and they lost by 3-2 after seemingly being in command in this one. Could be just further goals, but effectively I did fancy Brentford to win that game. Man City just need a point. That's all Man City need to qualify for the Champions League. Well, they're getting a lot more than that. And out of the last 18 games against Fulham now, it could be played 18, won 18, James, because Man City have gone 1-0 up.
Yeah, and that was one of my bets at the start of the show was Man City to be ahead at half-time. Yeah. And I was thinking about the Champions League and the permutations today, and whether if you got a City or a Newcastle behind at half-time, that would make it really interesting. City are trying to take the drama out.
Gundogan with the goal, by the way, for Manchester City there. Yeah. Gundogan grabbed the goal. But yeah, look, there's going to be, I think, the overs in that game. I think now it could be a bit of procession.
But it's important for City because the nerves disappear then. They can if they can get another one, then it's party time. They're back in the Champions League for the 15th consecutive
start
season.
Here at Forest, isn't it?
It's all Forest. I'm surprised there hasn't been a goal in this
from
one.
Chelsea.
You can see, by the way, from the live Premier League table, if you look on it, that Brentford's goal, and Bremo scored it, that's taken them above Brighton, of course. So just as Brighton fall behind, Brentford take the lead. You'll see that Man City have gone up to 71 points, which, let's be honest, given the fact that Man City have been dreadful by their own standards, the fact that they could finish the season, if it stays as it is right now, I think Arsenal will win at Southampton, but even though they're going to finish just a few points behind Arsenal.
It's not about to be that dreadful, is it?
That's what I mean.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it?
And I do think City will improve next year. They'll be back to the City that we know.
But they need Champions League to do that, so today's important.
Of course it is, but I do think that, I mentioned Arsenal earlier, I do think this was their season to go and win the league, where it's slightly easier. I feel like next season you're going to have even a Tottenham side that will improve. But I mean, you're talking the likes of Manchester City, Chelsea. They're all going to improve their squads. They're going to be even better for European football, hopefully. And Arsenal are going to be in more of a challenge than they were, I feel. So, and Liverpool are improving. I mean, whether they get Wirtz and whether that deal goes through, but that's a huge signing for Liverpool, and they're only going to back it up and be just as strong next season.
We've actually had a message from someone. So Tim Boy's been in touch, and he's talking about Ipswich. Actually, you backed Ipswich. He's also backing Ipswich, and he said, "Is that a fair shout, or are you sticking with West Ham to win?"
I liked Ipswich, Tim. I liked them at the start because I think there's more on it for them today, because obviously in front of the home crowd. But it had been a slow start. Let's look back in at the stats to see if they've picked up anything since we last looked. 22% possession, Tim, but you can still score with 22% possession. 3 shots to 1 though in favour of Ipswich, and they've had the only shot on target. So fingers crossed, Tim, for you.
Golden Balls has also been in touch on YouTube. I love that. I don't think it's the Golden Balls. He's firmly on Brighton to not lose away at Spurs.
Oh, there you go. I'd mentioned I'm back to the game at St Mary's, but I mentioned the corners again. They're 3 each now, so 6 corners already in the first 25 minutes at St Mary's. So yeah, if you've backed the over corners, then you're doing all right in that game so far.
I can't believe that Spurs are still odds against to win the game 1-0 up at home to Brighton. Brighton,
a good bet, doesn't it?
For what? For Spurs to win? Yeah, I know, but then you realise it's Spurs. That's the problem, isn't it?
But they're ahead.
I know, but it's Spurs.
They're not Spurs anymore. This is
No,
the thing. They're not
Spursy.
Spurs.
They've got the Spursy
This
tag
is
off the
it.
back, yeah.
It could be it's Manchester United. They're Manchester United now, or they're Arsenal now, rather than they're Spurs.
Well,
They're not Spursy, they're now Totti.
you can see you can see the. By the way, the Liverpool response, you can see it on the screens right now. Your Liverpool response home to Palace has been pretty poor.
Yeah, it
Another ball
has.
into the box by Forest, cleared by Chelsea.
There's a lot of balloons down at Anfield. Liverpool won't want to be seeing them.
You're an outright Palace fan now, aren't you?
I really do. Another ball into the box. Every single time I look up, there's a ball into the box, and it's another corner. Can someone just get me the stats on the corners for Forest? Because
Absolutely.
Corners might be the way forward at the City Ground. 23 minutes played, and it is just corner after corner after corner after corner. Just very quickly, Spurs 1-0 up against Brighton. Brighton have had 62% ball possession, 3 shots at goal, nothing on target. Brighton have had more shots at goal than Spurs. Spurs took the lead through Dominic Solanke from 12 yards. That's the only shot on target in this game. I don't think Brighton are done and dusted yet. And as I said, Brighton have still got something to play for. Technically, Spurs, not Arsenal, they have got nothing to play for. They've done their job. It's on to next season now. Brighton have got something to play for. So I do think that Brighton can get back into this one. The draw could be a play. I'm getting the draw around about 5-2 for Spurs Brighton. 12-5 for Brighton to turn this one around. Corners at the City Ground. Who's got the stats?
Yeah, it's 2-1 in favour of Forest at the moment.
What?
Yeah, no, it might look like they've had quite a few more.
There's more
watching the
corners
screen.
than that.
Yeah, there's only I've got 2-1 here currently.
That might be the third.
Well, every time I look up, there seems to be some kind of a...
Well, they're not that corner.
Well,
They're going
keep
to
having to
have to
retake them.
retake that. I think. Yeah, I think that's probably what's happening. They're retaking all these corners. You're thinking they're just getting corner after corner.
I'm just looking at Newcastle Everton, and I was expecting Newcastle have to win today to make sure. But Everton have actually had the better start. They've had 4 shots to 1. The Toffees, 2 on target to none. They've had the better of the first 25 minutes.
Well, I personally think Everton are too big at 5-1. I personally think they're too big at 5-1. You know, I'm a massive fan of Iliman Ndiaye. For me personally, Iliman Ndiaye up front for Everton should be someone that the likes of Newcastle will go for. I mean this with the greatest respect for Everton fans. I don't think Everton fans realised the player they were getting when he signed from Marseille, joining Marseille from Sheffield United. Having watched this kid for a couple of seasons, he's one of the best players I've ever seen for Sheffield United. And it would have been a different story for the players in the Premier League had he stayed. Iliman Ndiaye is better than Everton.
Yeah. Big chance there. Luis Diaz just shy of the post there. That was a potential chance to get back into the game for them, but yeah, just shy of the post.
And Jai would be a good player. If Manchester United are clearing the decks, he'd be a good buy
I think he's good enough. Yeah. I think he's good enough. And, you know, this is an Everton side who, away from home, have suffered 3 defeats in 10. They're difficult to dispatch. They've lost 1-0 at Chelsea, 1-0 at Liverpool, and 1-0 at Bournemouth. Everywhere else they score goals. They've drawn at Man City. They won at Crystal Palace, the best side in the Premier League. They've drawn at Brentford. You know, they've won at Forest. They've won at Fulham. You know, just that sums up Fulham, isn't it? Fulham win at home to Liverpool, lose at home to Everton. I think, as a prize play, gamble responsibly. I do think Everton at 5-1 is too big. Draw no bet, double chance, something like that. I think Everton
they're
get
playing with a bit
today.
of freedom, yeah.
The thing today as well is that the pressure on Newcastle is going to rack up as the game goes on if they don't get ahead. Have Chelsea actually been in Forest half yet?
Well, no, I questioned it. I mentioned at the start, I said, look, Forest could have tired legs, but it actually looks like Chelsea the ones with tired legs. I mean, Nuno's screaming at his players. I saw that earlier down the touchline. I mean, he's obviously just motivating them. So
Leicester City go ahead against Bournemouth by the looks of it.
Well, the double is on. I wonder if who's scored for Leicester. Of course, this will be their 7th win of the season. Their very first win of the Premier League season came at home to Bournemouth in a 1-0 win. And it does look like that no matter what happens with Leicester, that Ruud van Nistelrooy is going to be departing as boss of Leicester, who not only are they going down to the Championship, but it looks like the EFL is waiting to go, right, we're going to take some points off you as well.
It's a good job for somebody like that, though, Leicester. They're a big club waiting to bounce back. They've won 2 and drawn 1 of the last 3 matches, and they could add another. They could go down in really good form.
But it's funny, isn't it? Because the reason that Leicester are in financial trouble at the moment is because they budgeted for a top 5, top 6 finish, and they got relegated. And if you drop off the Premier League now and you get into the Championship, I said before, the gulf is so big between the 2 divisions that even Leicester, who, you know, they were a side that you were looking at to finish in the top 6 year after year. You know, they're former winners of the competition, the winners of the Premier League. If they're struggling to get back into the Premier League from being a season in the Championship, hardly anybody stands a chance. Even your boys could struggle next year. Leeds United.
Oliver Skip with a goal for Leicester.
Do you back in Bournemouth to get back into this?
That's what I'm doing. I'm just having a look at the price. But yeah, I mentioned earlier that conceding 2 or more goals in games away, less of that. If that happens, then they'll obviously go 2-1 down. But I'm just trying to get a price up for that.
The only trouble is with Bournemouth is they've not been in great form recently.
Not at home.
Yeah.
Away from home, up until Man City, 1 defeat in 12, and of 12 of the last 13 games away from home, they'd scored over 1.5 goals themselves in it, as there's a chance for Liverpool at home. Well, this is it. This is a stat to sum it up. Bournemouth have scored 35 goals.
Leicester's goal's been ruled out.
Yeah, I've just seen that. It looks like it's been ruled out. Goal. Yeah, I have. I've actually got a button for that.
You have, yeah.
I have. Yeah, I can press that. Yeah, a nice little disallowed goal. I was actually we
literally thought of everything.
The reason that I was actually looking at my laptop then, and I was really confused because I was like, no way at Leicester they've gone 1-0 up and they're 15-2 and Bournemouth are 2-5 to get back in. But yeah, it has been ruled out.
Do you know what? You can argue all day long. Sheffield United had one ruled out by VAR yesterday after a season with no VAR. We're suddenly having it in the Championship playoff final. Thanks for that.
Let's have a look at this free kick, by the way, for Chelsea in a really dangerous position to whip the ball into the box here.
You'll miss the Premier League. You won't miss VAR. Bournemouth, by the way, away from home scored 35 goals. At home scored 21. So if you're going to beat Bournemouth, who have lost 5 in 7 at home, it's at Bournemouth you're more likely to beat them. Right, so this 31 minutes in, I'm going to ask for your best bets. Ball into the box cleared by Forest. Half-hearted attempt to clear it by Morgan Gibbs-White. It is Chelsea with a little bit of pressure.
It looks like there might be another goal.
Hello.
It's not over yet. They're going to go.
Hello. What's going on here then?
Do you know what I'm going to look at here? Because it's going to be a price, and Palace have gone 2-0 up at Anfield. I've got a feeling.
Oh,
it's Mateta, isn't it?
Oh, it's easy as you like, sliced like through butter.
Or is it disallowed?
Oh, is it
offside.
I get the button again.
Offside.
I get the button again.
Go on, press it again.
Oh, disallowed goal. There you go.
I can tell you that we've had an unbelievable chance for Chelsea, by the way. One of the rare attacks for Chelsea. Ball played down the right-hand side, and it's put into the box, and it's Neto with a chance, and it goes with the outside of the right boot, and you just think, do you know what? It's a wonderful ball through across the corridor of uncertainty. Neto is there and puts it over Sel's crossbar. That was a real chance, and Maresca knows it as well.
I've got a really strong feeling that Forest and Chelsea are going to draw today, and it's going to allow Aston Villa to come through.
Yeah, that could happen. Well, I can't remember what I said. They were 11-10, weren't they, for top 5 at the start of the game, Aston Villa. So yeah, they would have been the value play in that.
Right, let's a couple of things I want to look at. First of all, Arsenal to win the first half. Could be a way forward. Well, no, I'm just saying if it's a bet, because, I did say that, Southampton have conceded 41 goals in the first half so far this season, and that's more than anybody else. You've got
15-8, by the way, for the halftime result.
And what's the stats then? We'll look at it now.
Yeah, no, so I'm just having a look as we're here.
Speculative shot here from Forest from way out, and it nearly just catches the keeper cold. Just kind of tries to whip it in from a distance, and I'm not sure if he was trying the cross, but it nearly goes in the far post.
Absolutely.
Well, at the moment, I mean, I said how dominant Arsenal were down at St Mary's. They have been 6 shots with 2 on target, but that was within the first sort of 15 to 20 minutes. But I'm saying Southampton have got themselves back in. They're holding their own with the possession, 47% possession. Southampton to Arsenal's 53, and they've had 2 shots. Southampton. I wouldn't be surprised if they go in 0-0 here.
We only had 4 goals across the 10
I know.
matches.
Is it a little bit disappointing for a final day? I wanted, like I said, I wanted a party.
Hopefully, all the dramas in the second half.
Yeah.
Yellow card dished out, by the way, at Forest. Madueke has been brought down. Anderson has been carded. Right, I'm going to just come to you for your best bets right now. We're about 33, 34 minutes gone in these games. As you said, there's only, 4 goals. We've actually had 4 goals and 2 disallowed recently. I'm just going to go through some of the stats elsewhere and just bring you up to date with exactly who is doing what, and then I come to you for your best bets. Normally when I ask for the best bets, that goals start to go in. Aston Villa, what are you doing? Aston Villa have to win, and Man United are on their knees. They have been woeful. Crystal Palace pushing for a second. If a team is on their knees, what do? You kick them.
What a chance at Anfield! I think
for Crystal Palace.
He's smashed the bar, has he?
No shots at all for Aston Villa. Nothing from Aston Villa
this.
at all. 7 shots at goal, 4 on top for Man United, and expected goals XG 1.02 for Man United, 0 for Aston Villa because they've not had a shot at all.
If you're a Villa fan, you're really disappointed with that, aren't you? They've just not shown up.
Can we get to my best bet now before it happens then? Because my best bet, I'm going to take the play on Manchester United half-time result at 9-2.
Are you taking Man United to win the first half?
I am. I'm going to take there's about 15 minutes left to go in the half.
I tell you.
9-2 with the chances. They've had 7 shots to Villa's 0.
I will tell you now.
8 with 5 on target. Yeah, they're up for this Manchester United.
They are falling behind in this game.
You think Manchester United will go 1-0
I
down?
think they are going to get
before, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've seen this film before.
I'm going to take. I've had my half. I've had my 10-minute bet come in. I'm going to take the 9-2 on Man United to win the first half.
I'm going to take. I'll tell you what I'll do for a bit of fun, and I'm doing this because I've seen this story so many times before. Same as you said, I am going to take Aston Villa to score the first goal.
Okay, that's not.
And
bad.
the
first shot goes in.
4-5. That is for the first goal to be Villa's. 13-10 Manchester United.
I've said it before. Man United fans will all be thinking the same. This has been a brilliant half of football. 8 shots at goal, 5 on target. We're not winning. We're going to get sucker punched.
And it will end 0-0.
And I will go for, what is it for Aston Villa to score the first goal? Please, whatever your bets are, please do gamble responsibly.
Well, Aston 5-6 now. First goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5-6.
What for
Villa to score first?
That's an awful price, isn't it?
That's pretty standard, though. I mean, 5-4 Manchester United, and for it to finish 0-0 7-1, which could be the case now. We're talking about this, but yeah, they're 5-6. Which I mean, they're favourites to win the game, so they're going to be, the shorter price favourite to score the first goal.
By the way, Bruno Fernandes has scored more goals against Aston Villa than any other Premier League side, so there might be something to look at in that. So you've gone for Man United to win the first half. What about your best bet right now?
I am going to go against your team, and I'm going to play Liverpool to be level by half time. It's a 10-minute market. 70% ball possession in the first half. They've had 3 corners to none. The only shots have come from Palace, it has to be said. Liverpool are yet to get a shot on target and have no big chances in the game. But I just think that Liverpool will find something before the break.
Something else to consider is maybe a further goal between Wolves and Brentford as well. We had an 8-goal thriller last time these teams played. Brentford 5, Wolves 3. That was the Gary O'Neill tenure, if you remember. Stats in this one, you may see the stats on the bottom of the screen flicking through. They are on rotation as well, so you can see the stats there for Southampton against Arsenal. And actually, I still think Arsenal have played to possibly sneak it in the first half. Look at Brighton's stats just flashing up as well.
I'm still quite keen on Bournemouth to be ahead by half time as well. I know Leicester had that fake goal that was disallowed, but 10-minute market again, 68% possession, 6 total shots to 2 on target to none. It's been, apart from that disallowed goal, it's all been Bournemouth in the first half.
I will tell you now that obviously Brentford have gone 1-0 up after 20 minutes, but 7 shots at goal, 2 on target for Wolves, and 6 shots at goal, 4 on target for Brentford. They've scored with one of them. Possession is kind of around about 50-50, 55-45 in favour of Wolves, so fairly, you won't be able to tell the difference, but I can tell you that total shots-wise, we've had 13 in this game. 13 shots at goal between Wolves and Brentford and 6 on target. Would not be at all surprised if there's a further goal in the first half between Wolves and Brentford.
Do you know what a play is? If you want to play a bit here, is Luis Diaz to get involved. A goal or a city, he seems all over. I mean, he's getting frustrated. I mean, he's absolutely hammered the post with his boot there.
That's a great save.
He's a really good save. Yeah, really
Salah
good
just
save.
Plays him through, and on the turn there, Luis Diaz is looking to bury it, and Dean Henderson's positioning is really good.
Luis Diaz, by the way.
There, look how angry he is.
Luis Diaz has been directly involved in a goal in each of his past 7 league appearances at Anfield, scoring 4, providing 3 assists.
Okay.
So
there's
Diaz
a
is
goal
very
coming
much
for Liverpool.
Yeah.
There it is, yeah.
Villa have won 8 of the last 10 games and have kept 6 clean sheets in those 8 wins, and they've been absolutely battered by Man United. Wouldn't be surprised at all if you then get goal Aston Villa flashing up. But to be fair, we've got a lack of goals all over the place. I will tell you now that generally as a rule, if you get, and you may testify to this, if you get a first half where there's a lack of action, the second half is going to make up for it.
Absolutely. And the other way is true as well. If you get a game that's 5-0 at half time, how many times is it going to be 10-0?
Well, we had, I think we had in the Bundesliga a few weeks ago, we had a 4-4 at half time.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And it finished 4-4.
Yeah.
Because the first thing you do at half time is shore up your defence and go, don't concede
they've used
anymore.
up all their goals, haven't they?
So wherever we're looking at, is there a few of these games, and I'll ask you this question, you can pick a game each, but is there a couple of these games that are currently 0-0 where you're still thinking, I think over 1.5 goals is still a bet?
It would be the obvious one would be the Arsenal game, wouldn't it? I mean, you'd expect Arsenal to at least score down at St Mary's. You'd be absolutely surprised. But that would be the players maybe over 1.5 goals. But I don't think that's going to be a big price at all, to be honest. I think when Arsenal get one, I think they'll all start coming.
I think the Forest game could be one that explodes because we get one goal there, the other team's going to have to push, and then all of a sudden that becomes end to end and wide open. But you need the first goal to come.
There's that stat on the screen, by the way, that James mentioned, goal involvements for Sky. You see it there. Andy Cole and Shearer, 47. Salah needing one more to match them.
And that was nearly it. Lewis Diaz would have been an assist.
It would have been, yeah.
Keep your messages coming in. Do use the hashtag Final Day Live. We're live on LinkedIn. Hello, if you're watching on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube as well, and on Sports Broadcast Media X account.
We've actually had a message come in on the chat, by the way, while you mentioned that. James Ross, good friend of mine, my best mate, has said Forest and Chelsea game so far has been brilliant, and he's also said Southampton a much bigger squad club than Portsmouth, which I'm not too happy about, but they're not.
I mean, he's got a point.
It's not true.
Which is a lot more than what Southampton have tended to get. They've only had 12 of those over the course of the last 9
Longest ever holders of the FA Cup.
At half time, I love how you're suddenly reaching for the defence of Portsmouth from nowhere, from absolutely nowhere.
It's been a while since we've been in a bit. I'm remembering the days of Suleiman Sari, Carnu, Jermaine Defoe,
Papa Bouba Diop.
Oh, the man mounted himself. Yeah,
Matty Taylor screaming him in from 50 yards.
I'm remembering those days, but yeah, we are a bigger
from nowhere, Portsmouth. At half time, by the way, we're going to be looking ahead with the Final Day Live preview show. We'll be looking ahead to PSG against Inter. We've got the Champions League final, Europa League conference with Betis against Chelsea. I want to hear the pronunciation of Zvotlaf, which is where they're playing.
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. That
got a free kick in a dangerous position for Palace. Also, we'll be looking ahead to the French Open, which has just started, and also the darts, the Premier League playoffs, where Luke Littler, Luke Humphries, Nathan Aspinall, and Gerwyn Price are going to be tussling out on the hockey in London. You're going to be offering your thoughts on the Premier League darts.
Well, Luke Littler's Manchester United, they're absolutely flying in this game against Villa. I still can't get over what I'm watching, seeing here, because I genuinely thought Villa would be more dominant than this. They've had one shot and it wasn't on target, and compared to United's 8 with 5 on target. Still think there could be a goal before the first half ends. Probably about 6 minutes there.
Let's have a look at the top of the Premier League table. Then you can see it on your screen. Liverpool title. We know that they've won the title. There's a half-hearted appeal for a penalty for Forest, waved away. I think it's by Anthony Taylor, who is the referee in that one. Arsenal are going to be finishing second. Even on goal difference, if they lose today, they'll still be finishing second. They're assured of a Champions League. Man City are going to be playing Champions League football. So are Newcastle and Chelsea. Villa and Forest, they'll be tossing out for the Europa League and Europa League Conference, and Brentford, Brighton still hoping to get into the European competitions, whether it be conference. Got a goal! We did say, honestly, they have conceded more goals in the first half at home than any other. In fact, I think it's across the season they've conceded more goals than anyone else in the first half. It was 41. It's now 42. Southampton 0, Arsenal 1.
Yeah, so I mean, the goals are now going to start to come. I did think this was the one you mentioned, over 1.5. It was too obvious to say, really. But, I think the goals will start to fly now at St Mary's for Arsenal. I'm confident in that, to be honest. I don't think Southampton will get back into this game.
And that sums up. That's what happens when you're in the Premier League and it's just a terrible season. Because no doubt Southampton will be thinking, do you know what? If we can get to half time here and it's 0-0, we're still in this game. And then bang at the end of the first half, boom. There's a goal for Arsenal.
It's Tierney. Tierney's also got the goal there, which is quite nice.
Is he the forgotten man of Arsenal? One of your best shouts.
Go on, Gav. We'll go to that goal.
There is anguish on my left-hand side.
This is where we need VAR. Come on.
They're on the beach. They're on the beach.
One of the tips was for Ipswich to win this game at home to West Ham United.
Hasn't been confirmed yet.
Goal has been given.
The team on the beach.
Goal for the Hammers.
Not happy about that. I'll tell you what, though, looking at the score so far, everybody that's scoring apart from Man City are not involved in the Champions League. There's nobody making their move. The Aston Villas, the Chelsea Forests, nobody's making their move. They're all 0-0 at the moment.
It's an ex-Southampton man, James Ward-Prowse, who's got the goal
Ex-Forest player as well. He was on loan at Forest. Defeat for today for Ipswich could equal Sunderland's record for the fewest points won at home in the Premier League season, which was 7. However, if Southampton lose at home today, they will have won 6, which breaks the record entirely. That's the kind of records we're now hearing quite a lot of in the Premier League. They weren't records that people spoke about a couple of years ago as Forest have a chance. But now, regularly, we're going, oh, yeah, Sheffield United, they've got the most goals conceded. Oh, yeah, Southampton, they've got the fewest points at home. Actually, Ipswich have also. That's just what happens now,
Why so much negativity?
Because it's... Premier League is just out of reach for a lot of these clubs now.
I do hope that the teams that go. I mean, I think Leeds will be absolutely fine next season. By the way, I'm not sure about Burnley and Sunderland. I can see them coming straight back down.
I'm not sure about Leeds.
I know. I'm all right. I'm all right with that. But I can. I think Leeds will stay up.
Forest just went very, very close with Chris Wood from fairly close range as well. He'll be disappointed with that. Nuno's disappointed.
Well, yeah, Nuno's an interesting one because he obviously had that. The owner came on the pitch the other week and had that little argument with him after, which was just stupid. But there are rumours now of Nuno and Roma potentially, which that could have for Nuno that had just been demoralising having your owner come in front of all the fans, come down and do what he did. It wouldn't surprise me if he went to a big side like Roma.
He's a very hot-headed man, the owner, isn't he? And
he is,
you could see him wanting an escape, Nuno, because you don't want that. Yeah, somebody coming out there and staring in the eyes. I mean, they made lighter of it later, but it was obviously a bit of a fracas.
I think it was about the injury to the Oweniri, wasn't it? And I think he was upset about that.
And by that stage, he was in hospital.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he was annoyed that it wasn't. I think it was welfare for play. So you know what? When I heard that, I was quite okay with it. Just quickly back to West Ham. Anyway, back for Ipswich. Aaron Cresswell, by the way, a club legend. He could make his 369th appearance for West Ham today. He's on the bench, and if he comes on, it'd be quite fitting because he joined West Ham all the way back in 2014. From which football team? That's right, Ipswich Town. So it'd be quite fitting if he comes on today.
Well, I was at the reverse fixture of this, by the way. I was actually at the Olympic Stadium with one of my mates who got me a ticket, and I went and watched it. West Ham won 4-1, and honestly, Ipswich looked awful against them. Like West Ham was so dominant, it says in the scoreline, but it could have been more. They were so dominant. So, I'd be surprised if Ipswich get back into this.
Let me have a look at the price in this one because Ipswich, I would imagine, will be fairly big to win this one now. 7-1 for Ipswich to win it.
I'll not take that now.
West Ham 4-9. If we can actually look at the bottom half of the Premier League table, we can see where this just puts West Ham at the moment. And you can see that West Ham are where West Ham would generally find them to be. You would have thought at the start of the season, in around that mid-table spot. They are 14th, 43 points. Look at the gap between the bottom 3 and the rest of the Premier League. As we are at half-time in a couple of these games. Oh, we've had a development.
This is getting worse. And I've got a button for this graphic as well. We've got a red card. There is a red, and this one's red. We've got a red card, and it's going from bad to worse for Villa. I know they still 0-0, which really does surprise me, but that red card could have gone a bit earlier for the half-time bet. But United have been all over it. It's probably just frustration that's come out there for that red card. I genuinely am surprised what I'm seeing. If you're a Villa fan, you're watching the final day and your final game, honestly, you'd be disappointed at what you're seeing so far.
It would be a fitting way for Manchester United's dreadful season to finish there, to lose to 10-man Villa.
Absolutely would. I could not agree more with that. I absolutely would.
A red card, yeah. It's actually, the mad thing is, it could be the man who's leaving the club, and it's Emi Martinez, the goalkeeper, who's got the red card.
Well, that's him done, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. From what I know, that will be him done, and he'll be gone.
He's got his match fee.
I would imagine that.
Wow.
I mean, I've always thought, though, right? So, if you're going to have a player sent off, let it be a striker or let it be a goalkeeper, because if it's a centre midfielder or a centre defender, you've really got to shuffle the pack. All Aston Villa have to do is take off a striker and put on a goalkeeper, and you could play, just one up front. Still be quite difficult to break down. I kind of tempted by Villa to get something from this game.
So
may not necessarily win it, but get something from it, because as you said, that would sum up Manchester United's season.
It's been a woeful season. Just looking at the stats of the Forest game, and every time I've looked up, Forest have been going forward, but the stats are actually really even. 54% possession for Chelsea, which I can't believe, because it seems to be the ball's glued to Forest feet. They've had 2 shots apiece. And the stats really don't reflect what I've seen on the screen.
Yeah, I will tell you as well that Man United have indeed hit the woodwork as well against Aston Villa. That would sum it up. They have been dominant. One of the best first half performances of today right now. It has been Man United dominant against Aston Villa. They've got a good record against Aston Villa over Man United. The last meeting was 0-0 though, and this could be 0-0. And it'd just be like Man United. Lose when we're playing awful and still not win when we're playing really well. And Aston Villa, the golden rule about 10 players, when you're up against 10 players, is you've got to get a goal, got to break them down quick, because if you don't and they've got something to defend on, they will just hang on for dear life and be very difficult to break down.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've just seen United's XG, their expected goals is now 1.1. That's only going to increase, I think, in the second half. I think, United... It has been a really, really poor season for them, but they could go out on a high here against Villa and refresh for next season.
If we can look at the top half of the table again as we're coming to the half-time, we've only got Man United, Aston Villa, where the half-time whistle will blow, and then we've got the half-time preview show coming up where we look ahead to the Champions League, Europa League Conference. We've got the French Open, the tennis as well, and the darts. We'll look ahead at that once the half-time whistle goes at Old Trafford. But you can see
goals. We need goals. What this has been for a first half. It's only
6 goals.
Well, it's not more than over 1.5 goals in any game at the moment. I'd expect at least one of the games to have had 2 goals.
I reckon at least one of these still ends 0-0. I think Chelsea ends 0-0, by the way, because there's been plenty of shots. But
I'm hoping for our sake that we get a load of goals in the second half.
Yeah. Talking of our sake, we'll get to James's best bet shortly. Liverpool title winners. Arsenal second, Man City third, Newcastle fourth, Chelsea fifth. Not a great deal has changed, really. It's pretty much as you were. In fact, it pretty much is exactly as it were, isn't it? There's been no change around at all. The top 7 are still in order. The only change we've had, really, is Brentford leapfrogging Brighton from 9th to 8th. That is the only change
I thought
that we have had. Oh, and also Crystal Palace, by the way. Crystal Palace have climbed from 12th to 10th. That is the only change that we have had.
I thought we'd have a bit of to-in and throw-in. Third goes to 5th and 6th and all the rest of it. We've had none of that so far. Hopefully second half.
How much time added on at Old Trafford, by the way?
There was 2 minutes, but obviously the red card came during that time. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, not a great deal's going to happen. So as it is right now, Bournemouth and Leicester are 0-0. We've got Fulham, Man City 1-0 up. Man City could be claiming their 18th consecutive win against Fulham, which is astonishing. West Ham are 1-0 up away at Ipswich. Liverpool are 1-0 down to Crystal Palace. That does mean that since Liverpool won the title and were crowned champions, they have not won any of their 4 remaining games. It is now half-time at Old Trafford. Man United 0, Villa 0.
Before you go to the half-time show, I've just watched the replay of Martinez's red card, and it's absolutely awful. It's really
awful, as in it shouldn't be, or Martinez
he's just come out. It just looks like he's almost punched Diallo down. I don't know what's gone on, to be honest, but it's awful.
Newcastle against Everton is 0-0, and Newcastle that will do them at the moment. But what you're doing is that if Forest do win and Newcastle don't, or Chelsea don't, well, of course Chelsea won't if Forest win, then you could be missing out on Champions League. Southampton 0, Arsenal 1, 1-0 for Spurs against Brighton. They have lost every single home game after playing European competition so far this season. They've played 6 home games since being in Europe and lost all 6. And Wolves 0, Brentford 1. 8-goal thriller the last time these teams met. There's plenty of shots on target, but just a single goal for Brentford. Don't forget to scan that QR code on the top of our live league table to try and win yourself a £50 Amazon voucher. But while we're at half time, let's get the final day live preview show now. We'll get the thoughts of the guys, including me and him over there, of James and Sam. We're looking ahead to some of the European football, the big finals coming up, and also the darts and the tennis as well. Here is the final day live preview show. All eyes on Munich Saturday as 2 teams who have never met in this competition bring down the curtain on the football season with the Champions League final. PSG have never won the Champions League, having lost their previous final in 2020 to Bayern Munich. So it would be quite fitting if PSG lift the European Cup that they would do so at the home of Bayern. Both teams have goals in the side, Dembele for PSG, Martinez for Inter, but this is about who is better at keeping them out. Inter were watertight at the back in the league phase, but have conceded 8 in the last 3 Champions League games, and that is for me where PSG will have the advantage. The last 6 Champions League finals have all been under 2.5 goals, and both teams have failed to score in all 6. I think this one will be different. Both teams to score over 2.5 goals, and who will win? PSG. The Europa League conference final takes place on Wednesday night with Real Betis taking on Chelsea in Wrocław in Poland. La Liga have moved the final league game for Betis to the Friday just gone to give them 2 days extra preparation time for the final. Right now it is half-time between Forest and Chelsea before the focus for the Blues switches to the final. Chelsea are not happy about this switch. Will it make a difference? We will see. It has been 20 years since these teams last met in the Champions League. A home win for Chelsea then, with a home win for Betis in the reverse fixture. Away from home this season for Chelsea, they have been poor in the Premier League with just 1 win in 10, but they have been faultless on their travels across Europe in this competition, winning all of the last 6 games, scoring 18 and conceding 4. Chelsea starters favs, and rightfully so. They are used to the big European occasions. They do have big game players, and I expect them to win in 90 minutes on Wednesday in Poland.
Betting Radio, the best music with the best tips. Listen online or on the Betting Radio app, where you can also access the very best in sports betting previews. Expert views on the biggest events. Download the app now to listen on the move wherever you are, even in the car. Betting Radio, the best music, the best tips. Always gamble responsibly.
Thursday night sees the final night of the Premier League of darts, and what a night we could have in store from the O2 in London. 4 brilliant players going to battle for that Premier League prize. Luke Littler, Luke Humphries, Gerwyn Price and Nathan Aspinall all out there to pick up that trophy. We start off with the first semi-final of the night, which is going to be Luke Littler versus Gerwyn Price. Luke Littler's currently 4-11 to win the match, which can't be a play under these circumstances, but I do think he's going to put a bit of a show on at the O2. He's last year's winner. He knows how to win there, and this is over a first to 10 leg format. I think the minus 2.5 legs in the handicap at 4-5 may be the play in the multiples for the night. But yeah, Luke Littler, he'll put on a show in the first semi-final. And the second semi-final is a fascinating one. 2 lovable guys in Luke Humphries and Nathan Aspinall. Nathan Aspinall's done so well to get to where he has in this year's Premier League. Everyone was doubting him even being in the event, but he's come here, he's got into the top 4, and he's here at the O2 in London. I do think he's going to fall a little bit short here. Luke Humphries has been ever so consistent. He is 4-11 to win this match, Humphries, but the play again is going to be minus 2.5 legs in the handicap at 4-5. Could be a nice double in those semi-finals on the night. So the outright final could be Luke versus Luke, Humphries versus Littler, and what a game this could be. Luke Littler leads the head-to-heads in the Premier League this season, 5-3 currently, but we've seen the battles in the last few weeks, some of the most incredible darts you will ever see. I think it's going to go the way of the main man, Luke Littler. It just is. He's just so sensational to watch, and I think he'll be so up for this night at the O2. He's 10-11 to win the final outright, but if you want a special for the night, I think the 9 darter on the night could be the play. I don't know what price that's going to be, but a 9 darter on the final night at the O2. I can see it happening. All of these players putting in big displays on those 9 dart finishes. So, yeah, I'll have a 9 dart finish. Luke Littler to win outright and a double on the minus 2.5 legs in the handicap in the first 2 semi-finals for Luke. And Luke, whatever your bets are, do gamble responsibly.
The 2025 French Open Tennis gets underway at Roland Garros in Paris today, and there are 2 firm favourites in the men's and women's singles. On the men's side of things, Carlos Alcaraz is the defending champion. Clay is his best surface. He's won in Monte Carlo and in Rome this season. He beat world number 1 Yannick Sinner in the Italian Capitals final. And you can't discount Sinner or indeed Novak Djokovic, but on the red clay in Paris, Carlos Alcaraz will take some beating. He may only be a best price of 6-4, but I think it's a price worth taking. In the women's draw, Aryna Sabalenka is by some distance the world's number 1. and she's almost as short as Alcaraz at 5-2. In current form, I prefer her to Iga Swiatek at 3-1, and I know it's not particularly exciting to take the favourites, but in this case, they are favourites for a reason. You can double up both Alcaraz and Sabalenka to lift their respective trophies at a very appealing 8-1. Longer prices, you say. Yasmin Perolini won in Rome last week, and at 14-1, she might be worth a little bit of a tickle. I was commentating on the recent WTA events in both Rome and Rabat, and was impressed by Eva Lees and Maya Joint. Maya Joint went on to win in Rabat. Both 1,000-1 shots for the trophy. Silverware may be a bit fanciful just yet, but winning their respective quarters could give you a good run for your money. Finally, and this is not so much an outsider as a rising British star, Jack Draper is now number 5 in the men's rankings, and he's a dark horse on clay after reaching the final in Madrid. An each-way play on Draper at 33-1 could be a great bet in Paris. I'll also be backing Draper at Wimbledon, where he's currently 10-1, and his game really does suit the grass at SW19.
Whatever your bets are, please do gamble responsibly. I have to say as well, the video of Sam, you in front of that dartboard, that is a dartboard on which you have claimed a 180 on.
I have. I've been playing pretty well, to be honest. That's it. Announcing I'm a bit of a dart player, but yeah, I've been playing pretty well, to be totally honest.
Yeah, you've done okay. Right, let's look ahead to the second halves of the games. I just have to say to the producers that there we are. We had a little bit of echo in our earpieces. There's no other way I could get round the fact that was him.
I was going to message the producers.
Yeah, no,
you've just done it. You
told us to stop moaning.
You've done it more subtly than what I would have done it more subtly, but yeah.
Oh, anyway, right, let's go through what we've got in the second half of these games. So Bournemouth, Leicester 0-0. Man City have got the point they need more than because they're 1-0 up away at Fulham. Ipswich against West Ham. You tipped up Ipswich. They're 1-0 down to West Ham. Liverpool against Crystal Palace. I still fancy Crystal Palace to get something from this game. I still fancy them to pick up all 3 points. Man United 0, Aston Villa 0. I've seen the sending off of Martinez. It's quite funny. He decided to play rugby in a game of football, effectively, didn't he?
You hear him mime, just, I got the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Newcastle 0, Everton 0. That's where I want to start, actually, James. I'm going to come to you for a shout on that shortly. Forest 0, Chelsea 0, Southampton 0, Arsenal 1, Spurs 1, Brighton 0, and Wolves 0, Brentford 1. Newcastle, I still think Everton are a bit of a price play. They are. I've got it as 6-1 for Everton to win this game, which I still think is a bit too big. You looked at the stats of Newcastle at home to Everton. Newcastle at the moment are in a Champions League place. A point will do them just fine. They've had a great season regardless. But how is this game shaping up?
The first half started in Everton's favour, but as it went on, Newcastle came much more into it. 63% possession, 8 shots to 6, 4 shots on target to 3. And 1 big chance to none. So they've had their chances, Newcastle. Did kind of turn it on a little bit towards the end of that first half. I'd expect them still to go on and win that one. So I'm with Newcastle. I also fancy, if we're looking for goals in the second half, and please, let's get some goals in the second half. I fancy more goals in the Liverpool game. And I also fancy goals in the Forest-Chelsea game. We need the first one to be the catalyst, but once we get the first one in Forest-Chelsea, we get more because whoever goes behind is going to have to try and throw the kitchen sink at it.
Willis said Sam's 180 was a fluke because we referenced he got a 180 on the dartboard. He did a preview on.
I've only seen the photograph of that with all the arrows still stuck in.
I know which rule that may be, but I'll be playing Will next week.
Unfortunately,
I'll be coming for you.
I did witness it and confirm.
We have also a comment in from Mohammed Singh who says, "Do you have any predictions for the Chelsea versus Forest match?" I mean, that is the key game. That is the game that we want to get stuck into.
Well, it is, and let's have a look at the Premier League graphic as what needs to happen for teams to qualify for the Champions League, and we can see here that Liverpool have already qualified, Arsenal qualified, and Spurs have through virtue. I can't believe that a team in 17th in the Premier League are going to be playing in the Champions League. Man City qualified with a point. They're getting that so far. Newcastle qualify with a win. Chelsea qualify with a win. Newcastle and Chelsea will qualify with a point, but what we're saying is that with a win, these teams are assured. They are assured of qualification for the Champions League. While ever they're not winning, there's a chance that someone else could nick in, like Aston Villa. Qualify if they win and Man City lose. They're not going to do that.
Villa
Newcastle lose or draw, or Chelsea lose or draw. The thing with Villa is they've had Martinez sent off. They're down to 10 and they have been battered. Forest qualify if they win, and Newcastle lose or draw, and Aston Villa lose or draw. So if it stays as it is right now, and Forest do get a goal, that is cat amongst the Champions League pigeons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Effectively like that. So I've got a feeling that there's going to be a lot of huffing and puffing between Forest and Chelsea, but I wouldn't be surprised if this stays 0-0.
I think there's a goal and it leads to more. Trent Alexander-Arnold, by the way, coming on at Liverpool, I wouldn't be averse to backing him to score. It's the sort of thing somebody like
that'd
he
be
does.
It would actually be amazing. I don't know whether we can get the producers to let us know, but I don't know whether he got booed on or whether what went on there. But he's obviously come onto the field.
I can see
and
some
last time he
clapping
came
fans.
on, there was some booing.
Yeah, I can see
Whether
some
that's
clapping
happened
fans.
again,
Yeah, they're all clapping.
They're
all clapping,
which is nice to see, and that is deserved.
That's how it should be.
Oh my God, how a young player who's been there for 20 years, and he's done so much for that club, and he scored probably one of the cleverest assists I've ever seen with that corner against Barcelona.
I can understand why people are annoyed, but you either clap or you stay quiet. You don't boo.
I think, you know what, he's living a lifestyle that we clearly cannot,
of course,
kind of even appreciate. And when you've done everything there is, you literally have to, do you know what? Playing for Real Madrid before I retire, that's something I'd like to do, and I have no problem.
What says he won't be
whatsoever.
back in a coaching capacity or even a playing capacity in the future?
He's won everything with Liverpool. There's nothing left to tick off.
I was about to scream goal for Crystal Palace because I looked up at one of our giant screens to see a replay of the first goal, and then I didn't. I'm thinking, hang on, they've already played that end.
By the way, 10-11 about Manchester United to actually win this match is a bit of a play. I like the look of that, and over 5.5 cards is even money. There's currently been 2 cards, 1 yellow and 1 red in that game. I think the frustration will come out in Villa, and there could be some more cards in that. So the over 5.5 cards and a Manchester United win, 10-11. I think they're fair prices.
How many cards have there been in this game totally? Then
in what game?
Man United.
There's been 2 cards, 1 yellow, 1 red.
That's it.
You got to think there's going to be more goals in that because Villa surely have to push, even with 10.
Yeah, there's going to be the frustration's going to kick out, I think, from Villa if it stays the way it is and goes, and there will be.
They've got to go for it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I do wonder if you are back at what price you got for Man United to win?
10-11.
It's a terrible price.
The thing is, with
What
Villa
do you
as
mean
well,
that's a terrible price? They're dominating a game, and they're playing against 10 men.
And
How
then
is that a bad price?
it's Man United. If it was Sir Alex Ferguson in charge and it was Andy Cole and Dwight York up front, I'd be all over that.
We've
10
literally
to 11.
gone for it's Spurs. But
I know, but
that is now the new thing.
The point I'm making is that you probably just have a little bit more value on a Man United that you couldn't trust them if as far as he could throw them. Would maybe to look at Man United to win 0 or Man United to win 1 or 2-0.
Yeah.
Aston Villa,
something like that.
Aston
Just
Villa
boost the
have
price.
to get a goal. And the thing with that Villa as well, they'll go in at half time. What are the other scores around the country? Are we still in with a shout? And of course they are, because nobody else has made a move. So Villa have to win.
If you wanted to, Trent Alexander-Arnold to get the second goal in the Liverpool is 22-1 is the play. I mean, if you wanted it anytime he's 10-1. But yeah, it would be fitting. It does happen quite a bit as well with these, big players leaving. Kevin De Bruyne should have done it the other night. I still can't believe he missed that.
6 yards out.
If he comes on, I wouldn't be averse to backing him either. But gamble responsibly. But that 22-1, worth a nibble.
Yeah, it could be.
So we're underway in a few of these games. In fact, more than a few. Forest Chelsea about to kick off. Newcastle Everton. I'm still unsure about Newcastle Everton. What was your best bet in this Newcastle Everton game?
I think Newcastle still win. But they came in second half of the first half. They were dominant in it.
4-9 for them to win.
Everton have got nothing to prove today.
No, but that I think we know Paul Robinson, the former Spurs goalkeeper.
We do
and
know Paul Robinson.
Let me tell you now that if you play him at Monopoly, his determination to beat you is through the roof, isn't it?
Yeah.
He is one of the most competitive people. And he said,
I know what he's saying, but they only need to go down 1%, and all of a sudden it's.
I get that,
yeah.
but he's like it's not as do you know what? I can't be bothered in this game. He says the minute that you cross the line, you are uber determined to win. But I get your point.
Not everybody's like Paul either.
No.
By the way, we talk about best bets on it. We talk about best bets on the show quite a bit, and obviously before the show we try and think of a best bet for each game. We aren't able to get every single bet out to you, but I've just looked at what I wrote down for the Newcastle game, and I had over 6.5 corners for Newcastle, 8-11. I've actually just looked at their stats. They had 8 corners in the first half, Newcastle. Yeah. So that would have landed, but I expect more now. There would have been bigger prices at even more, but Newcastle
can all do that, Sam.
Yeah,
we
but
can all invent bets that we would have put
on. No. Okay, I've got it on a bit of paper that's locked in it, but Newcastle, looking at stats, they do love corners. They seem to win a lot of corners. So
Premier League have issued a statement about Emi Martinez sent off against Man United. He's only got sent off about 20 minutes ago.
Do you want me to try and find that statement?
They moved quick. What's that about?
I'll try and find the statement.
I will tell you, by the way, that Newcastle have won the final league game in 8 of the last 10 seasons. So the stats are with Newcastle in terms of winning the final game of the season. Let's have a look elsewhere. I will tell you now that we are greyed out between Liverpool and Crystal Palace, as there is a bright start in the second half for Crystal Palace. Is this going to be a possible shout for a penalty playing across? Mo Salah is deflected behind. They're absolutely screaming for the handball. Mo Salah is absolutely, and there's going to be a VAR check.
We'll have a look at the VAR check.
There is a VAR check and a possible penalty for handball. It's against Lacroix, and it is going.
You can blame. By the way, you can blame the production team for this, but I don't have a VAR button, unfortunately.
We thought of 99% of things, didn't we?
I can do this.
It touches his hand, but his hand's next to his body. And usually in that situation, you're fine, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I don't think this will be a penalty.
I don't think it is a penalty. It is a corner for Liverpool. Corner. It is for the home side.
So Chelsea started brightly in the second half. I've actually seen them with the ball in this second half.
The one interesting one is Brighton away at Spurs. Spurs are leading. I will tell you now that the last 4 meetings between these two sides have produced 17 goals. The last 4 meetings between Brighton were greyed out between Newcastle and Everton, something happening up there at St James's Park. But generally that is about 4.25 goals per game. And you have got as we've said, you've got a Spurs side who have scored plenty but also conceded plenty. And I don't think that Brighton are done in this game. So I'd still think over 2.5 goals could be played. That's around 3 to 4, although we are greyed out between Spurs. And that's because Brighton scored!
There has been a goal.
Just as was talking about it, Brighton have scored. Can't trust Spurs.
This is the hungover Spurs that we were talking about. The celebrations might have gone too long. The tired legs might be kicking in. But yeah, there's been a goal for Brighton. That's our first game that we've got over 1.5 goals, right?
It is, yeah.
It's the first both teams to score.
It definitely is. We're hearing that Man City have made a very lively start in the second half away at Fulham. So maybe look at Manchester City to score again and possibly again still. Brighton are now evens to win. Spurs are 7-2 to win at home to Brighton. Who'd have thought that would have ever happened? 9-5 for the tie. Brighton are evens. I've just made that stat. I've just read it out to you. The last 4 meetings between these two sides have produced 17 goals. That's an average of 4.25 per game. Goal at Portman Road.
I thought you were going to say there's a goal at Portsmouth then. I was like, we're not playing.
You haven't been all season.
Oh, there is a goal, yeah.
You've got to go for that.
Come on, the Tractor Boys.
You fancied the Tractor Boys.
Yeah. I just think last
game
of the season, sometimes a slightly different vibe. It's a little bit of a festival. It's kind of say thank you to the team for the season they've given you. They've had a season in the Premier League. It's not quite gone to plan. They've gone down. But it's a kind of family kind of environment at Portman Road.
Hinchelwood for Brighton was the goal scorer.
Well, he was the guy who scored the winner against.
Broadhead was the goal scorer for Ipswich.
Yeah. So Jack, did you see the Brighton Liverpool game where Jack Hinchelwood came on?
Yes, did. Yeah,
Manchester cousin.
Yeah, his cousin. Yeah,
with his cousin.
Manchester United.
Man United apparently have
I
scored.
told you so. How were United with 10-11 baffled me when they're playing against 10 men and they dominate. There are just goals going absolutely everywhere.
Chelsea
we got a goal.
Second
this
half.
Is a big goal. I'll tell you what. Should I just keep pressing the goal button just on repeat and just see what happens? Because I did say the first half was a little bit dull in terms of the fact we didn't get many goals, but now the goals are coming in. The party's really beginning on the final day, and a huge goal. This is a massive goal for Chelsea. Stays like this and they will be Champions League.
Levi Colwill has scored it. We did say, didn't we, that actually, when you get a run of games in the first half where there's very little happening, that the second half is always much better. And, well, here we are. We've got as many goals in the second half now, bearing in mind we've played about, 5-10 minutes?
Yeah.
Not even 10 minutes, 5 minutes in a lot of these games. We've pretty much got as many goals in the second half already as we have in the first half. Levi Colwill has scored for Chelsea, and that is a big goal. That really does. Look at the top of the table right now. Liverpool first, they're staying there. Arsenal second, staying there. Man City look like they're going to stay there in third. Man United's goal is ruled out for offside. No goal for Man United.
Southampton
VAR has stepped in, but Southampton have equalised against Arsenal.
How does that happen? Another goal. Well, I did say Arsenal to win, both teams to score might be the play in this game. I still think Arsenal will go on and win this game, to be totally honest. But it looks like there's been a goal at St Mary's. I didn't think I'd be cheering that one home.
Wow, it's all happening. Let's have a look at what we've got in terms of the prices. Arsenal will go back to 3-4 to win. Southampton will be 6-1, 9-5 for the tie. Brighton Brighton are now not evens to win. They've just gone to 6-5. You can find them around that price in places. 16-5 for Spurs to win, around 8-5 for the tie. Ipswich could be of interest. Back to 13-5 for Ipswich to win. Who was it who scored for Ipswich, you said?
Broadhead,
the former Wigan striker, has scored for Ipswich. Goal!
Shall I just hand over and give you I don't know what to do.
Goal for West Ham. They
There
have
you go.
retaken the lead, and that kind of sums up Ipswich, doesn't it?
Now the final day is rocking. It's proper rocking. This is what we
This
want.
10 minutes is.
Ipswich are 11-1. West Ham are 1-3 now. 16-5 for the tie.
Stuart for Southampton scored. I'll just get the goal score for West Ham up for you.
What kind of price can we get on over 2.5, over 3.5 in the Forest Chelsea games? I think that one goal now lights the touch paper, because Forest are going to have to fling everything at Chelsea. It opens it up at both ends.
It's a goal. I love Jared Bowen, but he scored the goal for West Ham. Interesting that you said that Danny Dyer did a hen do this week, and actually on a hen do went dressed as Jared Bowen. I don't know if you saw the pictures.
Jared Bowen, by the way, today is his 200th Premier League appearance.
Oh, there you go. He's got a goal in his 200th Premier League appearance.
Dressed as your husband, your future husband.
Yeah, with a whole kit, shin pads, the lot. Yeah, it was a great outfit.
He has either scored or assisted in all 5 of his previous league appearances against Ipswich, scoring 4 goals and setting up 2. So not only is Jared Bowen making his 200th appearance in the Premier League today, he's also got a very good record against Ipswich.
It's not coincidence. That happens a lot when there's a big, moment, whether it's their birthday or a certain,
baby, having a baby.
It always seems to happen. Where
birthdays.
Oh, the birthday, but the baby celebration comes out so often, doesn't it?
How many times do you see them doing that?
Yeah.
And also
or the ball under the shirt.
New contracts.
New contract.
When player signs a new contract, always look at him.
So yeah, that's why we're looking at that Trent at 22-1 as the next goal scorer.
Right, let's focus on 1 or 2 games, because we've had a lot of goals going in.
I don't know where we're at.
So let's just have a look at where we are with Forest then, because this is a must not lose for Forest. Look at the table as it stands at the moment. So Forest are now Forest fans would be delighted with Champions League football, of course they would, but they'd also just be delighted to be, as we heard from Ben, the fan, the Forest fan. He said at the start of the show that I'm just delighted to be on this wonderful journey where we could be in Europe football. The closest they generally get to playing football in Europe is when they're away at Southampton.
There's a difference though, Gav, because they've been in the top 5 all season, and they've fallen out of it. Whereas if they come with a late run from 10th through to 7th, you'd have been probably happier.
Yeah, but can they get back into this one? Is the draw a play at 16-5? We've got Chelsea, whose away form is pretty dismal.
I just think we back goals. I just think we back goals from here, because they're going to have to throw everything at Chelsea. That'll give Chelsea a chance to get behind them, and it'll obviously give Forest a chance, because they're going to have to absolutely load on and throw the kitchen sink at Chelsea. Because Forest will know exactly where they stand. They'll know they have to get back into this match. A draw wouldn't be enough for them. They have to win.
But also with the fact that it's not just Chelsea's away form. Has been pretty poor. They've only scored 5 goals in 10, now 6 goals in 11. So they're not big goal scorers. So the chances of Chelsea actually going on and scoring a second, they're not big goal scorers away from home. Their form at home at Stamford Bridge is what's keeping them in the hunt for the Champions League. It's not their away form. If their away form was half as good as their home form, they're playing Champions League football next season. It's not even in doubt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just away from Europe as well. I'm just keeping an eye on all the games that we've got going on. Like I say, we're keeping you covered across all 10 games here on Final Day Live. But Bournemouth have absolutely come straight into this game. They're 11 shots now, 4 on target, 2 big chances and plenty of corner kicks there. It looks like they're dominating. I don't know what price they're going to be. I'll have a look at that for you. But I think they're going to be a play potentially to go and win this game.
Also, I've got some breaking news from Old Trafford, where I do believe that Aston Villa have registered a shot. So fair play on that one.
That's good.
But I will tell you now, ball possession. So we've played, 9 minutes of the second half at Old Trafford. Ball possession, 82% for Manchester United. So even if you're not watching this game, you'll know full well that what that means is Aston Villa are just being compact and just break. And what it might be for Aston Villa, and there's no, you can't blame them for doing this. Keep it tight. With 10 minutes to go, take the shackles off. Because we've all been there where our particular teams, whoever you support, have been a man advantage, but 0-0. And you're thinking, do you know what? This is quite nervy now because you just automatically think, oh, they're down to 10 and we'll beat them. It's not always the way.
As somebody that backs goals in matches, I always think a red card scuppers you. Because as soon as you get a red card, teams change tactics and get a bit more conservative, and it doesn't sometimes help. I'll tell you, every time I look up at the Liverpool game at the moment, it's Trent Alexander-Arnold that's doing something. He's always on the camera.
Yeah, I want to get an in-play bet in if I can, Gav. Bournemouth and Arsenal in-play. The double pays around 7-4. Bournemouth 8-13, Arsenal 4-6. I think the double pays around 7-4. I think that will still come off.
Yeah, whatever your bets are, please do gamble responsibly. So you've gone for Bournemouth and Arsenal.
Both drawing at the moment.
Newcastle against Everton. Let's start to focus on one of the two games where there's a lot on it because obviously it could be fairly pressurised. Although I think Newcastle, even if Newcastle lose, they'll go to 66 points. Their goal difference will be, 21. It's now 22 if they lose by a goal to nil. They still should be okay. Or because if Newcastle lose, Villa with the point will go to the top 5.
Yeah.
So actually, that's not right, is it? And that's what we said about even if Villa draw, still could be good enough if Newcastle drop all 3 points.
Even if they know that, they cannot try and play out for a draw, which they might end up having to do with it. But that is going to be tough work. Just
barrage
of the
Everton has started well second half.
I think as there's a yellow card.
It's a dive, I think. They're appealing for a penalty. We'll watch that back, but they're appealing for a penalty.
Yeah, I think it's Gravenberch
who's been dive.
Yeah, Gravenberch has been carded for.
Did he get Young Player of the Season? I want to say he got the league's Young Player of the Season this week. I might be wrong. I'll have a look at that.
Is this a dive?
Yeah, he was in the running.
Well, I wouldn't have booked him for it, but it was
I
soft.
agree with that. We'll get to Liverpool shortly, but actually, do you know what? Look at these stats: 0 shots in the second half for Newcastle. Second half stats for Everton, 60% possession for the Toffees, as no one ever calls them these days. Total shots, 3. On target, 1. Corner kicks, 1. All in favour of Everton. XG second half, 0.05 for Newcastle. Slightly better for Everton at 0.13. Mm-hmm. Everton have scored in 12 of the last 13 games at St James's Park. I genuinely think, I'll put it this way. I'll ask you a question, right? Do you prefer Aston Villa at 5-1 to win at Man United, or do you prefer the 6-1 for Everton to win at Newcastle? Aston Villa down to 10. Everton got the full quota of players, and yet they're a bigger price to win at Newcastle.
Don't like either of them.
I like the Everton at 6-1.
Okay.
I think that's the play. I think the 6-1 for Everton, who are difficult to beat, lost 3 games in 10. And they generally they don't lose away from home when they score. They last did that in September at Villa Park.
Yeah.
I think the 6-1 for Everton opens up double chance draw no bet.
Okay. Fair enough. Can you actually get a price up for me? Can you just have a look at what the Liverpool Palace game is at the moment and how that's priced? Because they've just made a really, really attacking substitution. Szoboszlai and Konate have come off, and they've brought on Diego Jota and Darwin Núñez, which could be his final game for the club. But a really, really attacking change.
And
which
for
could
Palace,
see some goals.
Palace have taken Mateta and Eze off.
Yeah.
Which are arguably they're 2 better players.
Yeah. The Liverpool one, because again, we go back to your point about teams being on the beach, and Liverpool, they've done what they've needed to do, and since then they've not won a game of football. And if Liverpool, 80, I'm going to have a look last time the Premier League was won with 83 points. We've looked at Premier Leagues in the past. Do you know what? Had they finished on 83 points or 86 points in the seasons gone by, they'd have finished 3rd or 4th.
Could have, absolutely. That could have happened. But it doesn't matter, does it? I don't get this whole thing. They've won the league. To be fair, the final 5 games of the season, like James would say, they've been on the beach. They generally haven't had to play for anything because it's all been done and dusted.
Yeah, but what that would mean for me as an Arsenal fan, I'd look at it frustrated going, why have we messed this up so much?
Well, yeah, but I think if it was closer at the time and they were still playing to back in the season, I still think Liverpool would have pulled clear because you would have seen a completely different Liverpool than you have done in the last few weeks.
It might only be 83 points, but they're still 11 points clear of
100%. And I genuinely do think if they really put it all out there, I still think they would have got to 90 points. They just haven't needed to.
Yeah. If Arsenal had been better towards the end in the running, then you're right. They'd have probably won another couple of games and they'd have been on 92 or 93.
I think that is fair. There's a couple of games where I think if the teams went, can we just call it a draw and just move on? Because we don't really need to play now. We know what we're doing as Bournemouth.
We've been waiting for that goal.
We haven't had the button for a while.
Not just Bournemouth. Another team
here we go.
on the South Coast. Brighton. Tipped up Brighton to turn this one around. We just said very much at the start of the second half how many goals there have been when these teams play. This will be now the 20th goal in their 4 and a bit meetings, if you want to just take into account. So you're kind of talking 4.7 meetings between these two sides. You've now got 20 goals. Brighton take the lead away at Spurs. Brighton is still fighting for a European place. They need results to go their way, but the best thing Brighton can do is win, and that's what Brighton are doing. 65 minutes gone. Spurs 1, Brighton 2. If you're a club like Leeds or Sheffield United or Sunderland and you want to kind of emanate a football club who have done what you need to do, Brighton are it for me. Brighton and Brentford, and of course
Hinchwood
Forest.
again, by the way.
What? How? What?
Jack Hinchwood's got the goal, so he scored 2 there. So if
which position he's usually in back in defence, isn't
he's
he?
obviously playing right by the goal.
What's he doing? Why is he suddenly turning to prime Messi with his goals? That's 3 and 2, as you said. That's just absolutely astonishing. Will Spurs get back into this one? It could be a record here where Spurs, after every single game in Europe, their following home game, they've lost 7 out of 7. That is awful. 20-1 for Spurs. They could still get rid of Ange. The Bournemouth goal is a VAR check.
There is a VAR. They are looking at it right now. There could be a foul in the lead up. They're just having a look. I think they might even go over to the screen for this one, which usually means there may be a change.
Forest are pushing. They suffered like 5 or 10 minutes after the break. Chelsea had much the better of the play. But since then, Forest are starting to turn it on. And obviously they have to. There's no choice. They're going to be urged on by their home supporters. And they are trying to put Chelsea's back line under all kinds of
Forest
pressure.
Look at this.
Come on.
The pinball stuff. I mean, just then, we're all 11 players in the box.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be good for the game if they did equalise.
Jack Hinchelwood, by the way, scored 3 goals in the entirety of last season. He scored 3 goals in about a week so far. And actually, one of those goals he scored last season was in a Brighton 4-2 victory against Spurs.
No goal, by the way, confirmed. VAR decision for Bournemouth. No goal.
That goal's coming, though, for Bournemouth.
Are you still... Well, okay, best bets right now. I'll give you about 30 seconds as I just run through what it is we've got going. By the way, I still expect further goals between Wolves and Brentford. 8-goal thriller last time. Plenty of shots on target. His Sells comes out and gets taken up by his own defender as he clears the ball. So still Chelsea 1-0 up against Spurs. You can see the top of the table there. Liverpool top, 83 points. Arsenal dropping points against Southampton. I mean, that would just sum up Arsenal, wouldn't it? You know, they've not won enough. They've drawn too many, and they are way adrift.
I'm genuinely, like, you look at the table and how they're going to finish Arsenal, and with, like I say, what they spent, what are they? They're 72 points, and what Forest are on 6. So they're only 7 points off 7th position in the league. I genuinely don't think it's good enough for what they've spent. And I know they've had injuries, but multiple teams have had issues with injuries. I just don't think it's good enough, and they are going to be under pressure. Arteta will be under pressure next season.
I thought his team selection today was weird.
He's left unusual.
Saka on the bench. He's left Trossard on the bench. Odegaard's on the bench. That's not the full strength Arsenal.
It isn't. No, they don't really need to do anything, do they? But yeah, I get you. It was an unusual
red card, and it's Gravenberch.
Yeah, it is a red card. Yeah, he's gone, and we can press the red card graphic.
Second bookable offence, and Ryan Gravenberch is on his way.
I've never seen such a smug look.
I've got it all down here. If everyone can see, I've got tons of buttons here. Honestly, loads of them. But there is another red card. It's Ryan Gravenberch. I can confirm he did get the Premier League Young Player of the Season.
This is a massive goal. This is a huge goal at a huge price.
What do you mean? It's a huge goal. I thought we were going for the big European games.
We are. Newcastle 0, Everton 1.
But what does that do? We need to confirm what that's going to do. Let's see if I can get it updated as the goal goes in.
It puts Aston Villa in the Champions League places.
Yeah, it does. It nudges them up. Yeah.
If we put,
I'll tell you what. Yeah, Newcastle dropped to 6th.
But can we confirm what would happen if United now score? And I'm just looking at here. So Villa have gone into 5th. with
Yeah,
67 points. Newcastle 66 points.
Sorry, we've hidden you for a second, James. But if you just there it is. Look at it. There it is. So Villa are now in the Champions League. So this piles the pressure on at Old Trafford because Villa now are going, oh God, we can't lose this one.
Yeah, no.
All the pressure. So Aston Villa are going to be even more difficult to break down.
But we said this on the final day of the Championship, that benches and fans will relay any information across the players however they can. And I can tell you now that Newcastle would be alerted to what's happening everywhere else, and there'll be an added motivation to get back into this. I don't know what price Newcastle are to get back into this, but that potentially is the play, because they are going to be pumped up. They're going to be firing everything at Everton.
I don't think they win, though.
There's massive pressure.
Well, they might not
on
win, they
Newcastle.
might draw, but that'll be interesting to see what happens if they draw and what happens
Those
at Villa.
Saudi owners did not buy Newcastle to not be in the Champions League, and they started in pole position. There is huge pressure on them.
They've got to.
I'd just like to say that I tipped up Crystal Palace at 5-1 to win at Liverpool. They're 1-0 up and a man up, and I also tipped Everton at 6-1 to win away at Newcastle. I'm just saying that, won that on record.
Well,
Thanks very much.
We'll leave you to this then.
I will tell you now that Alcaraz has scored. Mikolenko with the assist, and Alcaraz has
I stuck him up in
scored.
the French Open as well.
Botman is off, and Kieran Trippier is on, and Anthony Gordon came off at half-time as well against his former club. I will tell you now that it's a header, it's a cross. Mikolenko's played a cross into the box. Up rises Carlos Alcaraz. Is he former Brighton player? I think he is. Anyway, and he's headed it into the bottom right-hand corner from close range. So this is what we want now. So as it stands at the moment, Newcastle have already qualified for the Conference League because they've won. In fact, it's Europa League, isn't it? Because they've won the League Cup. But they are outside of the Champions League places. 1 to 5 plus Spurs for winning the Europa League. So Villa have it all to lose.
They do, yeah. This is going to be really fast now. I'm going to keep my eyes really straight. I was during the first half anyway, but the Manchester United Villa game is where I'm going to keep my eyes now. I'm fascinated to see what happens. And obviously, you guys will keep it on that Newcastle game, but fascinating, really is.
I'd say Liverpool score soon. They're getting corners as well. So
they're 10 men though.
Yeah, back corners in Liverpool Palace and back a Liverpool goal. I don't care if they've got 10 or not. They are on the front.
Which will probably it'll improve your price. To be fair, being down to 10, there might be a bigger price to do everything.
That is the first time that Newcastle have fallen behind at home since they beat Forest 4-3 all the way back in February.
Just
if you remember that.
Quick update on stats from the United Villa game because it's getting bad to worse. 15 shots United, 8 shots on target, expected goals of 1.44. 2 shots for Aston Villa, none on target with only 34% possession. There's got to be a goal for United coming, surely. Surely there's at least a goal coming. 8 shots on target is rare in just a game on its own. Usually that's
Manchester United. I know exactly what you're saying, but it's Manchester United, and they're just not playing well, are they?
Okay, well,
that's the thing, isn't it? That's why you're going. I still don't trust them. Honestly, 8-9 years ago, you're all over Man United to batter Aston Villa with 11 versus 11.
100%.
This is a new Manchester United that we just have to get used to.
Dominguez limps off for Forest, by the way. He's been replaced by Yates.
Cole Palmer was down injured as well, and Cole Palmer has failed to score in open play in any of his last 21 appearances.
Crazy, isn't it? He scored every single week for a while, and now he can't hit the back of the net for love nor money.
We did have a message
Another
from
corner for Liverpool.
Pete at the start of the show saying that, are we going to get at least a goal in all of these games? Well, I've got a sneaky suspicion that at Old Trafford that Man United Aston Villa could stay 0-0. And certainly now that at this point for Aston Villa, as it stands right now, sees them in the Champions League. And I'm going to say Aston Villa were fantastic in the Champions League so far this season.
Just realised as well, by the way, Sells has obviously conceded against Chelsea and Raya has obviously conceded down at St Mary's, which I believe is a joint golden glove between Sells and Raya. I think they're both 13 clean sheets this season. I might be wrong there, but yeah, I think that means it's settled as a draw between those two in clean sheets.
Are we going to get a goal between Bournemouth and Leicester?
Yes.
We should do.
If it comes to Bournemouth. They have been better than Leicester all the way through. 14 shots to 2, 4 on target to none. Second half is.
I think your microphone may just have malfunctioned, but I think the answer to that is effectively yes. 3-4 for Bournemouth, 29-20 for the draw, and Leicester are 9-1. We're a man down. We'll have to get the physio.
Yeah,
in to
so
have a look at it.
me and you can chat away with each other, to be fair.
Well, you may as well get coffees in if your microphones. Oh, I think you're back. Are you back?
Am I back? Am I?
Oh, yeah, there you are. You're back.
I am.
I see. We've got an incredible production team. Let's not get to that goal yet because I'm out. Let's just praise the production team. I know, just within seconds, like a pit stop, got things back up and running again.
I could tell you that we did say that there could be further goals between Wolves and Brentford. One of my bets in this one was for there to be a penalty.
There is also
game.
another goal. We'll hit the goal bank because there's 2 goals to talk about because it looks like there's been another goal down at St Mary's. There's another. Here we go again. It's and a penalty. It's all happening. Everything's happening. I can't believe it. What button do I press now? I'll hit the goal button again. Can I do it again? I'll do it again.
Let me just tell you what's happening. Arsenal have retaken the lead away at Southampton. Southampton 1, Arsenal 2. Wolves have equalised against Brentford. It's now 1-1 down there at Molineux. Man City have got a penalty to extend their lead. They had started well in the second half away at Fulham. Could be 18 wins out of 18 for Man City against Fulham. A run stretching all the way back to 2011. And Bournemouth, who were trying to fight off the double from Leicester, because Leicester did beat Bournemouth earlier this season. They have taken the lead. Their home form has been pretty poor recently. 5 defeats in 7 at home for Bournemouth, but they have taken the lead against the Foxes and are now as short as 1-12 to win.
At the moment, it looks like a nice in-play double there. That's coming off at the moment with the Arsenal and Bournemouth goals. That's really helped that. So the 7-4 there looks tasty for now.
Oh, right. So, what does this do for the top of the table? Not a great deal, to be fair, as it stands at the moment.
The Arsenal,
the Arsenal goal. VAR.
Oh, it's gone.
How many times?
It's gone.
How many times have you got to press the disallow goal button? Because that goal for Arsenal has been ruled out for offside. That's at least the 3rd or 4th goal.
We've had red cards, we've had disallowed goals, we've got penalties. It's all going on.
I will tell you now that Man City have extended their lead and they will be in the Champions League. Their good run against Fulham. Isn't it? Haaland has scored the goal for Man City. It's a penalty that's been struck home.
That's not a bad record, is it? 15 consecutive seasons they've got into the Champions League.
Yeah. No, and it's funny, isn't it? Because it's all in context. It's been a dreadful season for Man City, and yet oh my word! It's Manchester United, everybody! It's Manchester United. What did we say?
Oh my!
This is a massive goal. This is a really huge big goal. Villa. And it's a massive surprise. I'm going to just check. That might be their first shot on target. I will check that. But
that's what we said.
Aston Villa to score the first goal.
We've seen this film before, haven't we?
They were a big price, by the way, to win the game. I'm just having a look here to see. Yeah.
Well, this is incredibly bad news for Newcastle. Manchester United 0, Aston Villa down to 10-1. I mean, this sums up Manchester United. They would struggle to hit water if they fell out of a boat today. They're now 7-1 to turn this around. It has all been Man United. How many shots at goal? How many shots on target? The Villa keeper got sent off.
Oh, has it been given though?
Yeah, I'm just having a look at this.
Has this been given for Villa?
A VAR check?
I'm just having a look. 2 seconds.
We need confirmation.
No.
It's not like football.
You two so smug.
I think it might have been offside.
You two so smug with everything.
See, this is the new football, isn't it? Where sometimes you have to wait 5 minutes to go. Is it a goal? Can we celebrate it? Sheffield United had at Wembley yesterday when Alison Burrow scored the second. Everyone went mental. VAR came along and went, no.
Now watch United go and win it.
Proper mood hoover. Man United 0, Aston Villa 0. It flashed up everywhere that there was a goal for Aston Villa. They went to 4-9 to win the game. They are back, Aston Villa, at around about 11-2. It is 8-5 for Man United, 17-20 for the draw. Is there going to be a goal at Old Trafford, yes or no?
Yes. And it will be United who get it. 16 shots, 7 on target. I'm convinced they get a goal. I genuinely am. I think it could come late as well, which would cause right drama. I'm actually excited for when we hit 90 minutes because we're at least with the way that we get added time now, is at least 5 or 6 minutes in most of these games. And I can see a lot happening.
You know, between about 15 and 20 minutes left in these matches, and the pressure now is all on Newcastle and Forest. They're the teams that need to bounce back or get something from their games.
You do know what that means if Man United fail to score today, don't you?
Please.
will be 4 consecutive games in the Premier League at home where they failed to score. They failed to score against Man City, 0-0 draw. They failed to score at home to Wolves, 1-0 defeat. They lost 2-0 at home to West Ham. They could be 0-0 with Aston Villa. I can't even.
It's not a fortress anymore.
I would imagine that's never happened in the Premier League before, where Man United have not scored at home in 4 Premier League games consecutively.
They're just not very good anymore, are they?
No, that's what I said. We've just got to get used to them.
Let's just get to the cut to the chase. They are not very good.
No, they're not. And genuinely, if you're an up-and-coming Leeds side, you begin going, do you know what? Could take them.
I'll tell you, the advantage for Leeds next season is that half the team's going to be playing Europe every week.
Can Arsenal win at Southampton, still 1-1? That would be a disappointing end to the season for Arsenal, with the greatest respect to Southampton. The one thing about Southampton is I think they are joint level now with the worst tally of home points gathered across an entire Premier League season. Sunderland, who are back in the Premier League, let's not talk about that, 20 years ago, they finished the season with 7 points from their home games. And I think this will be 7 for both Ipswich and 7 for, as we've got a goal at Old Trafford. I'm thinking that we've got a goal at Old Trafford. And how quickly...
I told you all this would happen. I told you all Manchester United were going to score.
It hasn't been given yet.
We're not doing this again. We're not doing this again. This
VAR might get its little bits on it.
You don't have this many shots and not get a goal. I'm telling you now. This is...
They're still not very good.
I understand that Manchester United have scored against Aston Villa. Can we get the live league table up, please, and the top half of it, because we'll see how this affects things. Because once that goal goes in, the Football League will automatically, the league table will update itself. The Premier League.
That's a very good goal for Newcastle, isn't it?
Well, we are about to see it, because when that goal is confirmed, you will see Newcastle leap up from 6th. There it is. Look. Newcastle have leapt up from 6th to 5th, and Aston Villa are now out of the Champions League.
It looks like it's a confirmed goal, by the way, and it's Amad Diallo with an unbelievable finish for Manchester United, and that it's not going to be easy now for Villa to get back into this with 10 men.
If they do clean the decks at Manchester United, he's a player they should keep. He's about the only player I've seen this season who has actually showed a little bit of fight.
Yeah, he wants to play for them.
Yeah.
It's that interesting time of the season, isn't it, where fans of one club will start celebrating goals of another club. And I would imagine that Newcastle fans would never, ever celebrate a goal for Manchester United. So Newcastle, the Toon Army, celebrating a goal for Manchester United. I'm hearing, by the way, that Brighton have had around 20-plus shots away at Spurs. Let's just go back.
Spurs hangover continues.
Yeah, well, it's just Spurs season, isn't it? I mean, it's a very strange season. And we had former Spurs goalkeeper Paul Robinson on the show at the start, and he was saying that Ange could still go here. But Ange did come out and say, yes, like any box set drama,
season 3 is always better than
season 2, as he said. But also he did.
Where's he got that from?
But you're not obviously been watching Walking Dead or Breaking Bad.
I apologise to our Australian viewers as well.
I will tell you that you can't argue with Ange Postecoglou, who comes in and says, I always win something in my second season. And Spurs, who don't win anything, he won something in the second season, so he speaks the truth.
When he first got there, didn't he say he always wins something in his first season as well?
No.
Second
season.
He's known for that. But he's taken that too far now. I feel like he's come out with another quote to then go, I can use this one at the end of next season.
This keeps me in the job. This ties me over summer. Brighton, by the way, if there's plenty of shots going in there, Brighton, maybe just back a further goal. You might want to, with 10 minutes left to play. God, this second half has absolutely flown by. Correct score, you might want to start looking at something 3-1 for Brighton, or just a further goal. I can get 3-1 around 3-1. 3-1, 3-1, should always be that way. But anyway, so have a look at a further goal between Spurs and Brighton. Brighton have had 20. So you can see
21 shots, yeah. For
what's going on here at City Ground?
It's all going to get a bit heated, I think, now. This is what's going to happen. I think the same at Villa. I think the cards will come in the Manchester United-Villa game, due to the fact there'll be frustration from the Villa players. So expect a few cards. Maybe look at some of the card markets in some of these big European place games, because, there will be players getting frustrated.
Yellow cards dished out like confetti. Anthony Taylor is patrolling with a yellow card.
If you've just backed cards,
he's just had 2 dished out, and I think there could be another one for Jackson. Is that Jackson who's going to be carded? Or is he? What's happened here? There's a bit of Morgan Gibbs-White and Caicedo have a bit of a...
He's suspended, Jackson?
Well, he was on the pitch there, I thought.
Oh, was he?
Anyway, I think there's a bit of a coming together. I think Forest wanted a free kick. Cucurella. And I think Aina is saying that is a red card. That might be checked by VAR.
What is he doing? What a mess. And I'm after timing again, but on my sheet, which is still again I have not edited, I had Cucurella to get a card in the game at 2-1. But
you actually did.
I did tell you that before. I did tell you that before.
I can verify.
And
that.
it looks like are they reviewing it?
No, they're not.
What?
Cucurella had a challenge on Aina, and his foot seemed extremely high afterwards.
It did look really, really high.
Let me just have a run through where we are at the moment.
Can I just say there's a goal coming in this Liverpool game, and if it could come at either end, because Liverpool are pushing and they've got 10 men, and they're allowing Palace in behind them as well. There is end-to-end
What,
stuff.
you mean Liverpool? You mean an equaliser for Liverpool? Is that what you're talking about there, James?
Because...
And that's not after time. That's happened live.
Comes. There we go. The goal... There it is, yeah, goal for Liverpool.
Is it Salah? Does Salah get an assist or a goal? He does. Salah.
Oh, some finish. What a finish that is.
That equals the record.
Have that. Have it.
That takes him to 47.
That could have gone. By the way, what is Darwin Núñez's new haircut all about? But that could have gone through the net straight into the Kop there, and Jurgen Klopp's there, which is lovely to see, applauding Mo Salah's goal. But yeah, lovely to see him get the goal, and that's his. That levels the record,
right? That levels the record. That takes him to 47. That's his 29th goal.
There's still at least 10 minutes of that game, I'd say, left going. So, yeah, I'd be looking at that. That's interesting. There has been a comment, by the way. We've had a comment in, thanks to all the viewers that are tuning in, from Andrew Young, who says, a great show, chaps. Loving the last day drama. I've no dog in this race, so just stress-free fun. I think that's the fun of the fact. I mean, obviously, you've got a Premier League side now, but they were in the Championship. We're all Championship at the moment, side supporters. So this is just, we can enjoy this. We're not worried about anything going on.
I guess a deflection, doesn't it? Does it get a deflection?
Yeah, no, that's it.
It
comes off Lacroix.
Yeah.
And it's going to count as a Mo Salah goal because effectively, if it's on target, then it is. Then it stands as his goal. So yeah, Salah has scored. Just as it's nice when that happens, isn't it? Because you went. Do you know what? I think there's going to be a further goal at Anfield, and literally within 30 seconds, Liverpool equalised. So you're a little bit like Nostradamus with that one.
But cards in this Forest game. I can see the Forest player they're just lashing into a load of challenges unnecessarily. They're frustrated.
Where are we going to get late goals? Where are we going to get the late drama?
I could see
in the European games.
I could see another one in the Liverpool Palace game. That's end to end now.
In these European games, I could see at least one goal, and it'll be fascinating.
Well, let's see what can happen. So basically, as it stands right then, as it looks on the Live League table, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle are all in the Champions League. This will change if Villa equalise away at Manchester United. Newcastle couldn't afford to lose at home if other teams around them were picking up points. And there's a goal for West Ham. So Ipswich 1, West Ham 3.
I said this. I said I was at the reverse fixture and West Ham won 4-1. Genuinely, I don't know why, but Ipswich is the worst I've seen them play all season. So it could end up being a similar scoreline.
Yeah. So an equaliser for Aston Villa. Bearing in mind they're down to 10 men at Man United, but they've got nothing to lose. Aston Villa may as well lose 2-0 now. And not chase the game and try and get back into it, because Aston Villa, if they get a point, they get an equaliser, get a point. Brighton have got a penalty, tipped up the 3-1 scoreline at 3-1.
Yeah, good
Brighton
bet
have got they've got to score it, yeah. But Tottenham 1, Brighton 3. There's two Spurs, isn't there? There's a Spurs side in Europe who are great, and then there's Spurs in the Premier League who are the absolute opposite of great. Goal for Arsenal. Now
this one will surely count, and that means that the in-play double might be on.
Which you tipped up at Bournemouth
and Arsenal at 7-4 when they were both drawing, yeah.
Yeah.
We're just hoping this is a confirmed goal.
It's all happening.
It is, it's all happening. But I'm still convinced when we get to that 90-minute mark, things are going to happen.
So Mo Salah scored for Liverpool. Mohamed Kudus has scored.
Jordan Henderson at Anfield.
West Ham.
He was watching Sunderland yesterday.
Oh, of course he was, yeah.
How
did that go?
Goal for Arsenal. That
Bournemouth 2-0.
2-0. It looks like we're going to get another goal at Bournemouth. Vitality there. So as long as Arsenal can hold the shape, it looks like there's going to be a Brighton goal as well. It looks like they're going to score the penalty here.
So Brighton have gone 3-1 up, but so none of these goals really affect things. I don't even know if we can look at the league table again how a Forest equaliser would affect things. So if Forest equalise, they would get to 66 points, but on goal difference they would leap above Villa. So actually, what would happen if Forest do equalise is I think they may push Villa into the Conference League as opposed to the Europa League. But then it can all change again if Chelsea do win the Europa League on Wednesday against Real Betis.
That gets so complicated. It
does.
If Chelsea win and finish in the top 5, which is what it looks like is going to happen, then there will be no 8th place qualifier.
No,
because England then lose the an extra Europa League place. So at the moment, Brighton wouldn't qualify for Europe.
Odegaard, by the way, for Arsenal, got the goal. He came on as a substitute, scored, and a few Arsenal fans have been frustrated with Odegaard in recent weeks. So, yeah, he's got himself a goal, and Matt O'Reilly scored for Brighton. He scored the penalty.
I'm assuming Kevin De Bruyne has come on for City, hasn't he?
I will just check that and confirm that he has.
He has 85th minute sub, so he's on to say farewell.
If he gets a goal.
Rumours that he's going to Napoli, by the way, Kevin De Bruyne.
He won't be going. I know he won't be going to an English. He won't be going to an English club.
He wanted Leeds United, but Leeds said no.
Of the 10 games that we've got live and in play at the same time in the Premier League, only 2 home sides winning at the moment. So generally, it's an away day. As there's a penalty for Manchester United.
There we go. I tell you, I still can't get over that you guys fought that with 10 men and the stats that they were.
I know, but that's because it's Man United.
Yeah.
And it was rumoured that Villa, it flashed up everywhere that Villa took a lead. But Man United this is going to mean that Newcastle can rest easy because there's going to be no way back for Aston Villa if Manchester United are scoring this goal. Aston Villa, it's a pretty poor performance, to be honest with you, because I think many people expected Villa to go to what would be a very flat Manchester United. But they haven't done anything, Villa, today.
Gav, you're fully on this. If Forest get a goal and it stays level, then we're looking at Newcastle, Villa and Forest all on 66 points, right?
Yeah, on goal difference, it will be Newcastle who stay 5th.
Right.
Man United have scored that penalty, so Man United have killed off Aston Villa.
If Forest went bang bang and won, then they would go into the Champions League.
Correct.
And they were, like I say, they were 7-2 at the start of the day to finish in the top 5. So, I mean, it'd be a bit ambitious, but we'll see.
But it's one of those performances from Forest which is really frustrating because you've played well up to the final third, but that little bit of quality, because I've got to be honest, I don't think they've really tested the Chelsea shot stopper. You can see the stats rotating on the bottom of your screen because we're keeping them up to date with the latest shots on target and corners. And when it gets to Forest against Chelsea, you probably see a distinct lack of shots on target for Forest, even though possession-wise and where they've been playing football in the right areas, they just haven't really tested out the Chelsea goalkeeper.
Ericsson for United took the penalty.
Look at the shots for Man United there, 22.
That's just what I'm saying.
It's not Man United of
I
old.
would have looked at Villa potentially if they'd started the second half well, but it just continued in the same, level of just United dominating them. It really does shock me. Look at this. A chance for Forest.
Oh, they hit their own play. They've hit Chris Wood.
Oh.
They've had a shot and they've hit Chris Wood. Ball in. Keeper claims it. That's a shocker.
This could just be all Forest now, couldn't it? They're just going to attack.
I'm really pleased with some of my shouts today, I have to say. I think
all right.
Well, Everton.
Yeah.
I was quite pleased with Everton. I think Everton could potentially be in for an okay season next season if David Moyes back at the club.
New ground.
New ground.
No, that's fine. Well, I mean, we'll do at the end of the full-time whistle. We will do our kind of hot take for next season.
Everton,
what could happen?
If you look at where we are now in terms of the top 5 for the Champions League, they are the 5 kind of biggest clubs, really, if you like, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're the 5 clubs you would probably have expected to do it.
What I do like about Newcastle is I've always been under the impression that if you can get it right at Newcastle, you're going to have a club that could regularly get into the Champions League, and the fans, you could probably double the size of St James's Park and sell it out. It's just about getting it right, and they have.
I have to say, me and you, we were lucky enough to go down and do some filming work, for their parade of the League Cup. And I have to say, Newcastle fans, the atmosphere, the players, it was absolutely brilliant, Gav, wasn't it? Yeah. And I think if you can go there, the fans will absolutely love you if you do impress them.
Yeah. I shook Bruno's hand and said, "Well done." He went, "Thanks very much." I mean, what a claim that is.
I bet he's telling other people.
Goal for Brighton. It's Spurs being all Spurs. What did we say about this game, by the way?
Every time I press that button, by the way, I remove the league table from the screen, which the production team would probably think, "Oh, God, get that back in again."
The Spurs Brighton, the last 4 games, was it 17 goals, 4.25 goals per game? If you want goals, it's Spurs against Brighton.
I'm just trying to find out who scored it, because in the 93rd minute they've brought on James Milner. And I just need to confirm, because if it is, it'd be a 39-year-old goal scorer in the Premier. I
hope it's Hinshelwood.
It could be, yeah. I'm just
going to have a
look. But they have brought on James Milner in the 93rd minute.
He's still incredibly fit, though.
Unbelievable, isn't it? 39 years of age to be an outfield player and playing. Just getting confirmation of the goal coming through.
Well, let me tell you,
and it's Gomez who scored for Brighton.
There we are. Bournemouth 2, Leicester 0. So Leicester ending their Premier League season, and could be in for a turbulent Championship season, because the EFL is waiting to deduct them for points for financial. Is it PSR rule?
8 minutes, by the way. Forest Chelsea 8 minutes, and this is going to be a very intense 8 minutes.
Fulham 0, Man City 2, finishing third in the Premier League table and qualifying for Champions League football. We have finished 1-1 between Wolves and Brentford. So in a game that promised so many goals and shots on target, and was an 8-goal thriller last time, 5-3 win for Brentford.
Was that not the most pointless game of the day for us, really?
1-1. Yeah, but Brentford have had a really good season. Again, if you're Leeds or you're Sunderland, or you are Burnley coming back up into the Premier League, you want to be a bit like Brentford, don't you?
When you think about Brentford losing Ivan Toney, who's just got himself back into the England squad, you're kind of thinking, where's the goals coming from? But Visa and Buemo have been amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ipswich 1, West Ham 3, Liverpool 1, Crystal Palace 1. So it is 4 games without a win now. So since they were crowned title winners, Liverpool haven't won a game. They're going to win the league rather, with 84 points. Newcastle 0, Everton 1. A bit of a poor end of the season at home for Newcastle. They were on aggregate across their last 3 games at home 10-0 up. Scored 10 across their last 3 games at home. Hadn't conceded a goal. But Everton, I've got a feeling they could be someone who maybe they're a bit like Bournemouth this year. Maybe they're a little bit like Forest.
We'll talk about that at
the
end. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Look at this. Newcastle, Villa and Forest all losing. Haven't even scored a goal. And Newcastle are going to scrape their way into the Champions League.
It was there for the taking, looking back at it, wasn't it? Yeah, just get 3 points and put yourself in the mix, and they haven't done it.
Newcastle have literally just scraped over the line. Well, they haven't yet, but I mean, at the moment, they're sitting there in 5th, but they're all losing. They haven't even got a goal.
Liverpool season comes to an end.
Trophy shortly. They'll be lifting the shirt. To be fair, they might be lifting the trophies the time the Forest and Chelsea game finished, because we've still got around 6 minutes to play in the Forest Chelsea game, and that is one of the key games.
Yeah, so Liverpool 1, Crystal Palace 1, and we were right to think that Crystal Palace could get something from this game. We've finished between Bournemouth and Leicester. Leicester's Premier League season is over. Say hello to the Championship next season. Fulham against Man City in the dying embers of that one. Ipswich against West Ham. They're also going to be going their separate ways. Ipswich, who have been a fantastic, they're all the way from League One to the Premier League in the space of 3 seasons. I like the fact that they're not panicking. They're keeping Kieran McKenna, and they no doubt about it. If you go down from the Premier League, there's no doubt about it, you're still on to be a team in the Championship that could get 90-plus points. We have finished at Spurs. Spurs 1, Brighton 4. Just takes the edge off what has been a fairly good week for Spurs, but they are the only team in North London so far this season, actually all across this season, to win a major trophy. We are into the final few minutes of Man United at home to Aston Villa. Aston Villa had to win, and results go their way. And I think the frustrating thing for Aston Villa is, if they'd have won, they'd have been in the Champions League, because Newcastle dropped points, lost at home to Everton as ball into the box by Forest. Forest trying desperately to get back into this game.
If they scored now, it would make it interesting.
What would he do if they scored? So basically,
if they scored, they'd go into 6. But if they scored again, then and actually got 3 points, they would actually go into the final Champions League.
It's the kind of drama that you just could see happen.
Yeah,
Trent is crying.
Chance.
It's
absolute crossbar. Oh, and is it Chris Wood puts it over the crossbar?
That was the chance. That was the chance.
It is Chris Wood. Trent Alexander-Arnold is in tears as he. I won't say he's at Anfield for the last time, because and this is what's annoyed Liverpool fans.
I still don't get that.
It's because there is a rivalry with Real Madrid. They played each other like every single one of the last 5 seasons in the Champions League. So he's going to a European rival.
It's just going to happen, isn't it?
Anyway,
but I don't see it.
If you want loyalty, buy a dog, as they say. Trent Alexander-Arnold is in tears, and I think the reception he'll get from everybody is absolutely bang on. Conor Bradley is going to be a standout player, I think, for Liverpool.
Well, Frimpong as well.
Yeah, and Frimpong. Southampton 1, Arsenal 2. So Southampton, I think, by the way, that Southampton have broken the record, a Premier League record for the fewest amount of points being won at home across the season. I think the previous record
to them.
Yeah, it's a record they don't want. Clearly,
I've landed my double as well in play.
It is 7 points, the lowest total. I think if you look at Southampton, they have claimed 6 at home across this season.
That is pretty poor, isn't it?
Their torment is over. It's funny, isn't it? Because last year they were jubilant because they beat Leeds in the playoff final into the Premier League, and then honestly, it's like I don't know. I just want to get back in the Championship where we can win games. The gulf is just too big. Still playing between Newcastle and Everton.
Yeah, the big games are the ones that are still being played.
Yeah. Don't forget, by the way, to try and win a £50 Amazon voucher, scan that QR code. We're not here for too long now as we edge closer towards 6 p.m. on final day live of the Premier League season. Scan that QR code. You'll be taken to a website. In that website, just put in your email address, and then you're in the draw to win a £50 Amazon voucher. Terms and conditions apply. So do that while you can. Let's just have a look at the bottom of the table if we can, just to see how the bottom 10 fared. You can see that there is obviously a big golfing clash between Southampton, Ipswich and Leicester. That's pretty much how the teams came up, wasn't it, from the Championship? Leicester came
basically,
up.
Yeah,
champions, Ipswich second and Southampton through the playoffs as Man City have won their 18th consecutive game against Fulham. That's finished 2-0 at Craven Cottage. Look at Spurs. Look at Man United. Like you'd never... If you'd have gone back 9 months ago, this is where I predict these teams will be. We'd have gone, what are you doing?
I know. Well, we predicted Forest. Everyone predicted Forest to be right down near the bottom, and I kind of expected United to improve this season. I expect them probably to be, like 7th, 8th position maybe. And
you'd probably swapped Forest for Spurs in that list.
Yeah, I've always said I've always wanted my side, Sheffield United, to play football like Manchester United, and this season they actually have. West Ham are 14th. Everton 13th. I think they're going to have its full time at St James's Park, by the way. So we're at Old Trafford and at the City Ground. Pretty disappointing for Eddie Howe. There's Bruno, shook his hand. Thanks very much, Bruno. There is pretty disappointing final game of the season, but it's Champions League football.
That's it, yeah.
For Newcastle. And they've also won a trophy.
Does that mean Newcastle, they're guaranteed that now? Yeah, there's no way they...
Yeah, because...
Well, unless Forest were to win this, which is almost near impossible. But look, you never know.
They need 2 goals in a minute, basically, Forest.
Yeah. Fair play to Brentford. A fair play to Bournemouth as well. Bournemouth to get into the top 10 as well. It's been a fabulous season for Bournemouth. There's a chance for Forest to clear by Chelsea.
There goes Kevin De Bruyne as well, shaking hands at the end of that game. He's been one hell of a player in the Premier League, hasn't he?
He certainly has. He absolutely
has. What's he got, Gav, named after him?
Oh, he's had the you can drive along Kevin De Bruyne now.
The Kevin De Bruyne Crescent.
Because they've named a road after him, so the Kevin De Bruyne Crescent. So if you want to celebrate the legend that is Kevin De Bruyne, you can jump in your car and drive over him.
I saw the announcement of when he got given that. And it was like when you get given a gift at Christmas of you're like, oh, I'm delighted. I've got a road.
It shouldn't be the Kevin De Bruyne Crescent. It should be the Kevin De Bruyne Drive, because drive is at least something you can kind of relate to a shot.
Yeah, exactly. Drive sounds,
Drive is better. The Kevin De Bruyne Drive.
Just have a lay-by.
I'd rather have a drive than a crescent.
Yeah, the Kevin De Bruyne cul-de-sac.
The things you hear on this show.
Anyway, we can tell we're coming to the end of the season, can't
you?
It's
not a statue, is it?
What are they screaming for here?
Oh, they're screaming for everything. But literally, full-time at Man United. So Man United, I fancied an upset in the cards at Manchester United, and we got one because the home side won. So Man United 2, Aston Villa 0. So that
and well played to them because they finished 15th, which was probably as high as they could expect.
I do wonder if they're having a lap of honour or lap of dishonour,
I would very
as it's
much
probably
doubt
called.
it.
And there it is. That
Full
is a
time.
massive
Chelsea qualified for the
Chelsea.
Champions League. There we go.
Maresca is absolutely delighted. Bit of an unknown, wasn't it? And they're going mad, Chelsea. That is a big result. It's a tough place to go, is Forest. I know Forest have been somewhat, inconsistent. I think it was 8 wins in 10 for Forest, and then since then they've got 5-6 wins in 15. So they have dropped off the pace. Fair play to Forest. Do not let this dampen down Forest as well, because Forest at the start of the season, realistically, if they finish fourth bottom and it's another season in the Premier League, that is brilliant for them. But they're also going to be in European football, which is astonishing. Yep. You just do wonder if Forest can handle European football and not take the eye off the Premier League and get sucked into relegation next season.
They have to strengthen their squad, aren't they, Gav? As simple as that. They're going to have to strengthen up and... Look, we'll just wait and see.
It'll be easy to strengthen it though with the lure of European football.
It's probably the best place for them to be in that competition as well. They weren't ever going to compete in the Europa League and Champions League, really, were they?
So next season, then.
Yeah.
Before we say goodbye, and thank you for watching and getting involved, and thank you for your messages. What do you think is going to be next season? Are we going to get a bit of a rival challenge this season, next season from Man City and Arsenal more than we've had this season?
I think we get a much more competitive league next season. I think Liverpool, again, they'll strengthen, but they probably don't need to strengthen that much. I mean, they're already filling that right back position, so Liverpool will be as good as they are. Manchester City will definitely return. They will invest a lot of money this summer. I think Chelsea, now getting European football, they will encourage some decent players. I'm confident of that. Newcastle will continue to improve. I've got a feeling that likes of Liverpool, Man City and Chelsea will finish above Arsenal next season. I'm still not. I have question marks about Arsenal, and we'll just wait and see. But the team I want to see do well, and I think they will do well, and they will qualify for Europe next year, normally will be Tottenham. What competition, I don't know, but I think they'll actually be back up as a top 7 side.
Can we just have a look at the final league table? I will get to you, James, shortly, because your side's going to be in the Premier League.
You didn't mention Leeds United.
No, I'm going to mention Leeds United.
Why?
And I'm going to mention because they're Premier League bound, aren't they? That's how the top of the table looks. That's how it's ended. So if you try to predict what the Premier League table would look like in May, all the way back in August, you can see how far you were off. Man City's dismal season, and they still finished third. I'd like to be that rubbish. And still finish third.
You see De Bruyne is on our screen now. You can see it there. He's
exactly.
Going over to the fans.
I don't think Sheffield United got 71 points in the Premier League if you combine all seasons we've been in the Premier League. And Man City have got 71 in a very poor season. Chelsea finished fourth. Didn't expect that as well. Chelsea have got 69 points, which is about the same number of professional players they have on their books. When Maresca walked in and was like, how many? I could take about 4 training sessions here. Yeah. Newcastle, fifth. They continue to be the new Leicester in terms of, regular up there at the top of the table. Villa 6th, Forest 7th, which is brilliant for them. Brighton 8th, Bournemouth 9th, which is brilliant for them. And Brentford, I think a top 10 finish for Brentford is always a fantastic season. We've gone to the people who kind of punched above their weight. We're now going to some of the teams who definitely punched below their weight. I think it's funny, isn't it, the Premier League season? I think only once in the first 25 years had the 3 who come up had gone straight back down. I think there was something in the mid-90s. Now it's happening for the second consecutive season. Last season it was Luton, Sheffield United and Burnley who got relegated. This year it's now Southampton, Ipswich and Leicester. Spurs finished 17th, Wolves 16th. They had when they sacked their manager and Pereira came in, he did a little bit of wonders for them. I expect them to do better. Man United, how are they going to be next year, James? Where do you expect Man United? You just don't know, do you?
I think they've got a very interesting summer because Amorim looks like he's staying. He looks like he wants to get rid of a load because he wants the players to come in that are going to fit their style of play. Now that can go well for them, and if it goes well, they should be stronger. But they're running out of money behind the scenes. They need to get European qualification, get Champions League football, and if they don't get a good start and then they sack Amorim, they've probably recruited a load of players that don't fit the next manager's thing. So they're on a bit of a spiral of decline. I think West Ham will be better next season. I'd like Graham Potter as a manager.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
I think he fits their kind of style. So I think they'll be stronger. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a strong Premier League, I think, next season.
That's what I think. I think it'll be a much better, much more competitive. And that's why I think Arsenal, if they were going to win, it was going to be this year. We have had a comment come in from producer Johnny who has said City win the league next season, bookmark it. So, yeah. And it genuinely wouldn't surprise me if City do bounce back and they come back and they are contending for that league title
producer
again.
Johnny's really put his neck on the block there, hasn't he? Because it's not the wildest thing. They've won most of the Premier Leagues in the last 10 years.
It's very Johnny-like.
We've also had a message from someone who thinks that Sunderland will be the whipping boys, of which, you know what, I don't think any champion... it does annoy me when teams get promoted from the Championship and people go, yeah, but you're gonna have to improve to stay in the Premier League. Oh, well, of course we are. That's like saying to me, if you drive a car at night, you're going to have to use your headlights. It's obvious. So I'm not going to mock any side now as a Sheffield United fan, because I know how tough it is. Genuinely, Sunderland is a great club. I wish them all the best. And if they are the whipping boys, that's nothing on Sunderland. That's just because the Premier League is really incredibly difficult.
The summer transfer window is going to make a big
It
difference.
will. I mean, obviously, we can't predict too much until we know
one
what's...
big signing, and that all of a sudden you look at that team in a different way, don't you? So
yeah,
that's
just one big question, last question that I want to bring in is, away from those 3 that are going up, if there was a side that were going to get relegated next season that away from those 3, who will it be? Because I'm going to say that Wolves will be the one that could end up going down next season.
It could be. I don't want to say Forest. I said Forest and went viral because they did the complete opposite. It depends. If Brentford lose their manager and he goes on to bigger, better things, it could be Brentford. I don't know.
Producer Johnny said Man U.
I mean, it's
possible.
Trying to. I don't know. It's just so difficult, isn't it?
It's possible.
Let's wrap it up there.
Well, that is us done. Thank you. Leeds, stay up, yes or no?
I hope so.
Give us a league position.
I'd be happy with 17th.
15th, I think.
I think that's I've got to say, if you're happy with 17th, I think that's a great way to approach it. Just stay up. That is it. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Sam.
No, thank you very much. Really enjoyed it. As always, a great show. Enjoyed watching the final day of the Premier League season, and hopefully do more of it.
Thank you, James, as well. Good luck in the Premier League next season.
Thank you. I mean, kind of, you watch the league that's you've got your team in. The only danger is we'll probably lose a few more matches next season than we did
I think that's
this
a given.
season. But good luck, Leeds, and thank you. It's been good
fun. Thank you to the production team. Thank you to producer Mark. Thank you to Jonathan. There's a lot of work that goes into this behind the scenes as well. So thank you for that, not just for today, but to get this show prepared and ready for today. Thank you for watching as well and getting involved. And that is it now. It's a couple of months break. Saturdays, you can go shopping now or do something else, and give it about 6 weeks, and we'll all be desperate to watch a friendly or something and bring back the Community Shield. We'll be gagging for football.
That's not the outro I expected you to go with. But all right,
we'll go with it. We do have the Champions League, of course, of which I think PSG are going to be into. I think that could be highly entertaining.
And the Emirates Cup will be coming up soon for Arsenal's big trophy of the season.
Oh, exciting. And also, fair play to Chelsea as well, and wish them all the best in Poland on Wednesday for the Europa League conference against Real Betis.
Where's that played, Gav?
That is played in the fine city of Wrocław.
End the show.
I'm going to end it. Thanks for watching, and whatever your bets are, please do gamble responsibly. Hope to see you again soon.